it blazing. Cause I can read between the lines, I ain't blind. We unwind what they're really saying, genetically modify what you're tasting. Loan you that college promise, so now you live up in your mom's basement. Redesign time so your mind is always wasted. Programmed to crave the basics, keep the beta in stasis. Pay the state, kid, you're in debt for being born. Messengers are more than just the price for being warned. Don't be alarmed, disconnect from their machinations. Stop subscribing to the folly of own nations. Bone breaking ain't the answer, cause they seek the ownership of souls. Spread the seeds and watch them grow. Break the chains of control. Break the chains of control.
Sweet eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful, friends. This is your special random Friday night edition of Rogue Ways because I haven't gone live in like 2 weeks and I wanted to go live and say hi to you guys and say what's up, talk about a few things. What's up, Austin Beach, already in the chat? It's good to see you here. Hopefully by now you have all found the episode that I did with Sam Tripoli. He invited me on Tinfoil Hat podcast and I talked about an experience you've probably heard me talk about before if you follow the show. And if not, it's a pretty, it's kind of frightening, honestly. So I'm like, it's not for the faint of heart, but, yes, I hope you all check it out and love it. And I have been overwhelmed with the awesomeness of the Swarm. It is so cool. I mean, honestly, the Swarm has come from Sam and has like lavished love upon me. And I've got so many people who have gotten tarot readings and guidance sessions and bought pendants. And I just really appreciate all of the support and the love. And I'm so glad to see everybody here. I'm sure some of you listening right now are the Swarm, and it's so good to have you. So thank you again for coming and being here. It's so good. Jillian Griffel, what's up? That's awesome. Jillian says an hour ago she was thinking, when will Rogue Ways go live again? Here I am. And just so you know, I was on vacation, basically. I had to get out, you know. We've been locked up for a while. I mean, I was never locked up. You guys know I still lived my life exactly as I would have, except that there were certain places I was no longer allowed to go because I didn't and wouldn't wear a mask. But, you know, for the most part, the stores that I shop at would still allow people in who have medical exemptions or health reasons for why they can't wear a mask. And I consider anybody who has a level of anxiety or depression or, you know, emotional, any kind of negative effects in that way, that's a medical, you know, condition. Those are things that are classified in medical literature as issues and health reasons. So those are health reasons, and those are some of mine, or related to some of mine at least. And so, yeah, I was able to still do things, but I still, just like everyone, felt a little locked up, felt a little repressed, felt the sort of weight of this new level of social conditioning coming down, you know, around us, and you see it in people. And so it was really good to get out and go around the country. And by around the country, I mean the Northwest. I'm in Colorado, so I'm kind of in the middle, and we moseyed up towards Wyoming, through a little bit of Utah just for a quick second. We spent some time in Idaho. Idaho doesn't seem to care about masks at all. It's really cool to be able to go into any store I wanted. I went to Ross, you know, like like places I don't actually care that much about, but I'm also like, it's nice to just like go where you want and do what you want. So got some like feeling like a regular person again, and that was nice. Idaho really is a cool place if you want to go get away from that level of madness. There was a bit of smoke. I mean, like, Colorado, when I left here, was thick with smoke. I can see Garden of the Gods, and I'm in Colorado Springs. I can see Garden of the Gods and Pikes Peak from my yard, you know, every day. And I couldn't see either. That's how thick the smoke was. It's very close to me, and I couldn't see it. So the smoke was really driving me insane. It really felt claustrophobic. And so trying to get away from that and heading to the Northwest where there's no fires and no smoke, but in Idaho there was still smoke. It was like the whole way we would go, we'd feel like we were getting away from it, and then it felt like it would like overtake us again. And I was kind of starting to like lose it. I'm like, oh my God, we're never going to get away with this smoke. But we did. When we got into Portland, we traveled along the Columbia Gorge. Gorgeous. So gorgeous. If you've never traveled along the Columbia Gorge, then please do. It's just amazing. It's a beautiful area. Camped there. It was an awesome campsite. It's a mix right now. If you've tried to camp, you kind of know. There's some places that like they're the only campsites that are open because of COVID, and so they're like packed and you can't get in. And then there's other places where all the camping spots are still open and no one's going because of COVID. So it's like a really weird mix of, it's hit and miss for sure. But we got great camping the whole trip. We got really beautiful places. We were really lucky sometimes. Got really last minute, we got free spots for no reason twice, and really cheap spots the rest of the time. So it's a kind of a good time to go camping. I don't know. Again, it's hit or miss. So wherever you're at, you'll have to see. But we were just really lucky and we found some great stuff. And then we got to spend some time with my family out on a lake on the Olympic National Peninsula. The Olympic Peninsula, the Olympic National Park on Lake Quinault. It's a really beautiful lake. For some reason, no one was there. Like, there's no people on the lake. We saw like 3 other people on this huge lake the whole time we were there. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's, COVID's got people staying off the lake for some reason, or people just don't know about this lake maybe, and maybe I shouldn't tell anyone. So it's really nice to have a lake to yourself sometimes. But we got to stay there for a while. Headed back up to the North Cascades National Park. Gorgeous. Again, if you've never been there, it's gorgeous. These 2 parks get like no love. I don't know why. They're literally the most beautiful places on earth. I really don't even want to tell you about them because I don't want people to start going in more numbers. The part of their beauty is that there's almost no one there ever all year round. And summer is definitely the time you want to go, because that's when it's nice and hot for the Northwest, which is not that hot at all, which is also nice. That was a nice refresher to get out of the baking heat and come back that way. And then I wanted to go to Flathead Lake and spend a few days, and we got towards there and there was no really good spots to be, and it was kind of overrun. And I was like, yeah, you know what, my childhood stomping grounds can kind of wait until less people are there. But Janet Rock is in the house. Janet is new to the channel. Janet, welcome. It's awesome to have you. Thank you. The crew already welcomed you. I see. I love that. Lindsay Smith is here. What's up? Woo! You're making a live show. Yeah. Lindsay Smith has the most amazing body care products and essential oil mixes and essential oil sprays. I have one right here on my altar. And that is, well, you can't read it because it's backwards, but it's Sacred Communication. And that's why it's on my altar. It's beautiful. All her scents are beautiful. Any spray you get, you'll be happy with. I know. And the body lotion, I use it every day. Every day, all over. It's beautiful. Loving the light. What's up? Mateo, thank you very much, Mateo. I feel refreshed. But yeah, Janet says mandatory masks in Arizona. Yes, there's mandatory masks everywhere I went. So let me be very clear. There are mandatory mask regulations everywhere. The stores have posted you have to wear a mask to enter. But I just am in the habit of just entering a store anyway without a mask. And if someone asks me to wear one, I say, oh, I have a medical exemption. And if they say, you still can't shop here, they have to have curbside pickup in order. Otherwise, they're discriminating against a disability, which is illegal. And they know that. So if they don't have curbside, they just say, okay, and you keep walking. And if they do have curbside, they usually will ask you to leave anyway. And they'll say, we can help you with curbside. But even in the places that had curbside and those signs posted, most of the places we went, they just let us in. Just no one said anything. It was awesome. So people are like complying. I think businesses are trying to do what they can to not get shut down. And at the same time, I think a lot of workers at these businesses are like sick of trying to tell people to wear masks and kicking people out. And so it was really actually nice. There was 2 places the entire trip. We were gone for like a week and a half. I want to say almost 2 weeks, and pretty much 2 weeks. And 100% of places I went, minus 2 locations, let me in without a mask. And again, all of them were under the mask order. So I don't know if that's sort of like a sea change, and people are just sort of at this point where they're like, I'm not enforcing this anymore. Like, yeah, I'll put the sign up, and yeah, I'll wear mine because I have to because I'm working, but I'm just going to like look the other way. And it really was like that. A lot of places people would like kind of like see me and then just like look away. Like, oh, I don't see you. I don't even know, which is really cool. So again, it made me feel like we can be normal again, perhaps. And so I really enjoyed that part of traveling, getting away from the smoke, seeing some of the most gorgeous places on the planet, just with my trusty van and my boyfriend. And we were very lucky. We have very great neighbors who took care of our chickens. They took such good care of them. It was so nice. And now we're happy to be back with the little ladies. I just spent an hour with them outside, hanging out. They remember me, so that's good. But yeah. The Independent says, we don't even ask people to wear masks anymore. Where are you? Well, you don't have to tell us if that will out you or get you in trouble or something, but that's awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of places are doing that. I think they're just kind of like, okay. I mean, because it's at the point where people are like, why are we still doing this? Even people who buy into all of this hoopla and like social conditioning are starting to be like, okay, so isn't it 2 weeks that we had symptoms or whatever? Even if we all wore masks for like 2 months, which it's been longer than that, then shouldn't that be enough? And like, I don't know. There's no evidence that it's helping. So why are we still doing it? I think people are starting to sort of catch up to that. And even people who bought in are starting to be like, yeah, I'm not going to do this anymore. So again, places, if you have to, because it's your job and you want to keep your job, I totally get it. But I think it's cool when people are starting to just be like, yeah, I just don't notice. I don't see that you're not wearing a mask or whatever. It's nice. Digital Apparition, what's up? If I ever don't say hi to the Digital Apparition, it's because I say hi to him like 65 times a day. But I should say hi, huh? Hi. Florida, they're not asking people to wear masks anymore. Florida's kind of cool like that, too. Florida's been on the, like, sort of rebellious edge of this for a while, I think, which is nice. What was also cool on this trip is that we talked to all these people. You talk to people, right? You're like going to places, you're seeing people, you're talking to people. A lot of them weren't wearing masks. Super awesome. Smiling at people, making eye contact with people. We shook hands with some people. Like, some people do not, there's so many people out there that are not cowed by this, and they're not convinced, and they're not scared, and they're not running away from contact and interaction, and it's so refreshing. The guy that gave us our free camping spot came right up to the window of our car and was like, hey, blah, 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 like talking within like a foot, like he didn't care. There's just a lot of pretty cool interactions. There's also still obviously the people who are like, oh, whoa, 6 feet and all that garbage, but whatever they need to feel happy with themselves is whatever. But it was cool. It's cool to have that interaction because, again, you get under this spell and you like get used to, especially the mask, non-mask division, you get used to just sort of like avoiding contact and interaction. And it's nice to have this. And again, I don't know if it was the places we were. I don't know if it's like kind of universal almost at this time that everyone's sort of getting to that point or what, but it was just so good to have like a couple weeks of being able to go places, being able to interact with people and not having this oppressive fear hold everyone back. It was really, really cool. We also had this like really cool night the other night. I don't know, a couple nights ago, wherever we were. God, I don't even remember where we were. Oh, we were in Montana. I think we were in Bozeman. We got a hotel for the night because there was no camping spots anywhere because Montana people like to camp and I don't know, there was just no spots. So we got a hotel and it was fine. And there was like 40 minutes left of the hot tub and pool being open, which there was a hot tub and pool actually open, which in itself is cool because a lot of them are closed down because of COVID, which doesn't make any sense because it's bleach water, which kills things. But this one was open, had 40 minutes left. We're like, quick, we got on our stuff. We like run down. It's kind of chilly at night now. Maybe it is where you live now too. The seasons are like definitely changing right now. And so it was a little chill. And so it was going to be nice to get in the hot water. We get in and there's these two gentlemen in there who are strangers, but are talking. And they're talking about Alan Watts or Watt, the one that, the older philosophical one, not the one that's still alive and doing podcasts. Although they're both really awesome. They were talking about him. They were talking about like Ram Dass, and they were talking about like philosophy and all of these cool concepts. They were talking about, there was like hints of entity talk almost. And we were talking about like, oh, was the message these sort of gurus were getting, was it sort of tainted by like the drug usage they had, which was like that's a cool concept to talk about any time of day with any people. And these guys were talking about it, and I was like, oh my God, this is rad. Like, one guy is like an audio engineer. The other guy's a reader. He is a voice actor for audiobooks. I really want them both on the show. I gave them my contact information. If you guys are listening right now, please contact me. You're both really cool, and I think you'd be fun guests. But we were all like kind of aware of like how cool it was that we all ended up in this hot tub in Bozeman at that time of night. and that we all had these similar interests in alchemy. We were talking about alchemy. I mean, like, how does this happen? This does not happen. This is just like a totally random, awesome, synchronistic moment in time that was really, really cool. And I wish it could have gone on longer, but like, you know, you get sick of being in a hot tub and tired because it's night, and we had to like end the session. But it was so cool. It was so cool. I really hope they get in touch. And maybe come on the show. Maybe you'll get to meet them, because what a weird experience. It was just so fun. Those moments in life just like let you know, because we were kind of at this point in the journey where we're like, oh, we were supposed to camp in Flathead and it didn't work out, and we would have liked to camp that night, but it didn't work out. And you're in a hotel and you almost feel like you're like giving up, like, oh, we're not camping for the night, and we have this bed to sleep in the van, but we're paying for this hotel, and you kind of feel like you like failed or aren't really like doing it right or whatever. And then the universe steps in to be like, no, everything's exactly how it should be. You're supposed to talk to these two people and, you know, connect with them or whatever. And you just remember, that's how life goes. Like, sometimes things happen that you feel kind of like, this isn't ideal. This wasn't the best thing. This isn't what I planned. And you feel frustrated about it. And there's always a reason. There's like always something else going on that you don't understand necessarily. So yeah, that was really, really cool to be in a hot tub with those random people in that random moment in history. And again, we moseyed back down. We're home now, but just the whole trip was full of this reminder of how beautiful this country we live in is. And whether you want to think about it as a political country, you know, the United States, you want to think about it as just like the regions that we happen to inhabit together and communities are gorgeous. Like, we are surrounded by endless beauty in all these different ways. You know, whatever the climate is in that locale, whatever the sort of geography is, there's beauty in all of it. And I'm so blessed to be able to travel through it and experience all of that, hike through it, camp in it, you know, meet the people who live in those areas, and just really, really cool. And I'm especially attracted to bodies of water, and I always have to go touch them or get in them and, like, you know, bless myself with them and bless them. And doing that all over the country makes me feel like I'm sort of connected to everywhere. And I really love it. I really need this. You guys have already commented on, you can tell I'm like refreshed. This is like my drug now is traveling around and doing these exact sorts of things. I just, as soon as we're in the van and we're starting to drive, I'm like, woo! I'm like super amped up. And even when it's stressful, I'm like, you know, super positive and happy and whatever. Johnny's probably like, not all the time, but pretty much all the time. But it was great. It was a good trip. So I'm happy to be back. And of course, the same sort of bullshit is still happening in the world. You know, I get to like disconnect from that for a little bit. And at the same time, I'm still on a 30-day ban from Facebook. I think I still have like 10 days of that left or something. It's been a long time. So I haven't even looked at Facebook, and I was traveling. So I just like had a good disconnection from all the shit. But it's definitely still going on. Still going on. We got, what do we got here? Did I say hi to Jillian Griffel? I think I did. Oh, Jillian's in California. She never wears one and nobody says anything. That is shocking, because Oregon and Washington were the most like militant and the most sort of stringent, like you have to wear one, and I still didn't somehow, which I thought was sort of magical. But I thought California would be in the same ballgame, but maybe it's less stringent than I think. That is good to hear. Lindsay lives in Louisville, Kentucky, and mask holes are everywhere, and the mandate just got extended for another 30 days. Oh my God. Like, why? No one even died in the first place. So dumb. Legally mandated. I think, Adriana, I just sent off your pendant today, by the way. California actually made it legally mandated. I think it's legally mandated everywhere, but if you look at the mandates, they almost always say, when social distancing isn't possible for those who can wear one without any physical adverse effects or health effects. So there's always the loopholes, dude. I think. Watts. Thank you. It was Alan Watts that we were talking about. Ram Dass, CIA. Yeah, we didn't get to that level, but it was still interesting to talk to them about these things. What's up, Israel Adams? Loving the light makes a good point. The people who are out and about right now are the open-minded people. That's probably true. The people doing this sort of journey and that type of thing that I was doing. At the same time, I'm in like normal stores with local people who are just doing their sort of tasks, you know, their errands or whatever. And it was cool. I was in oh, so Falcor almost had a big, huge blowout. The tire, I don't have a picture of it or I'd show you. If I showed you on my phone, you wouldn't be able to see it that well. The tire was bare down to like metal wires were showing through. Like that's how bald it was. But we didn't notice. We were going 80, 85, you know, down the freeway for hours and hours. And we stop in Idaho Falls. No, that's not true. Twin Falls, Idaho. And the van's just sort of weird. And Johnny looks down and sees the tire and he's like, oh my God. And we see that it's like that bare with the metal showing. So we're like, holy shit. And so luckily we had a hotel that night too, because it was our first night and that's just sort of how we roll. But luckily the hotel we were staying at was directly across the street from this very highly rated tire place that was a local place. And so I, you know, walked across in the morning when they opened or I drove across, whatever. I told him like, hey, my tire, you know, is pretty bad. And he, like the look on this guy's face was like, I could just see in his eyes that we had narrowly averted death. Like that was the look on his face. I was like, that scared me more than looking at the tire scared me. But he like put the van up, you know, he could wiggle the whole tire back and forth. That's how, whatever the bearings or, you know, I don't know these things, but it was like crumbling in there. And so, $740 later, Falcor was able to roll again. Definitely an unexpected expense. Thank you so much to people who donated to the GoFundMe. It's very, very nice to know that we are supported and that we have help with these unexpected things that impeded our movement through our journey. But we just felt lucky. I was like, this is the happiest $740 I've ever spent because we could have died. Like literally. If you're going to 85 down the freeway and your tire breaks off, perhaps you tumble away. I don't know. So very blessed, very lucky. Guardians all over the place taking care of us. But while I was in there paying for that experience happily, there was a guy, a local in there, and he was watching the news was on, you know, conspiracy news network, whatever we're calling CNN these days. And not the right kind of conspiracy, you know, the kind that is just meant to delude us all. And on the news, somebody said, like, somebody's being interviewed, and the person being interviewed says, and blah, 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 and Black lives do matter. And the guy said, all lives matter. He, like, yelled it at the TV in this, like, empty room. And I was like, yeah, all lives do matter. Because I felt like he just needed somebody to, you know, be like, yeah, you're not alone. You're not crazy or whatever. All lives do matter. Black lives matter and all lives matter. They're both true statements. So I was like, yeah, all lives do matter. And he's like, what are we all just going to tear ourselves apart because we can't see that there's better ways to deal with racism than this? And it was very sweet. It was very cool. It was very refreshing that someone was just like being this honest in like a public way, you know? And so we got to talk for a minute and I was telling him, you know, because he was like, I don't even know what we're going to do. We're just so divided at this point. And I was like, I don't know, because traveling around, I actually see that most people don't seem to really buy into the shit that's going on in Democratic major cities, basically. That's where it's all happening. And it's really a very small amount of people. It's just getting all this attention and it's affecting a lot of people. But it's not that many people actually involved in it. And the people who might be scared to speak up because we've seen these, you know, mobs confront people while they're eating dinner on the street or hanging out. So I saw a guy get just like smash someone's face with a skateboard, like just full on, like hit him in the, like just people are murdering each other. Like it is very intense. I'm not trying to downplay that level of chaos and violence that has been instigated. But outside of those areas, that's not happening. It's not even happening a little tiny bit. It's not happening at all. There's no hint of it. You know, it's being orchestrated intentionally, and it's only happening in these small places with a lot of media attention. And so it feels really big. And it is, again, I don't want to downplay it. It's happening. It's severe. There's people dying, but it's also not as big as they make. They always make it seem bigger than it is. They want us to all get drawn into it and feel divided. And so I reminded him of that. I'm like, it feels really divided. And if you watch the news, it looks really divided. But when you actually go out and really talk to people, even in various states and various cities and various locales where it's blue and red and whatever, most people aren't that level of extreme and they're not supporting that. So it was a cool interaction to have with a random stranger. And you could tell it really affected him. And I mean, he like thanked me as I left. He's like, thank you. Like, I just think it's very important for all of us to talk to people. And even if it was someone who had yelled out like Black Lives Matter, I would have done the same thing. I would have been like, yeah, Black Lives Matter. Because like people need to be heard. They need to be supported. If they had started saying like we need to kill white people or something, I'd be like, no. I'm not saying just support anyone no matter what they say. But as much as you can unite with people right now, you need to unite with people right now. You need to remind people, especially in their ideas that are not violent or extreme or horribly divisive, that they have allies and that you understand, that someone understands and that they're not alone. Because those are the things that people really get desperate over when they feel alone, when they feel like there's really no hope, and then they feel like no one connects with them or supports them. So anyway, that was a fun moment and a cool story, and I hope we can all do that. I hope we can all remember that it's more important to try and connect with people than it is to, get into the nuanced details of like, yeah, well, no, not all lives matter because meh. Like, that's not helping, actually. That's not a conversation either. So having conversations with people, connecting with people, and being as united with them as you can is pretty important, especially right now. And it like I said, it really made his day. You could tell he felt very strongly about being able to connect in that way. So I think it is good to try and connect with people that way. I don't ride on the hood and yell Falcor while we're driving, but I do yell Falcor while we're driving. I just don't do it from the hood. I do it from the driver's seat or the passenger seat, and I do hold my hand up while I do it and go, Falcor! Because I feel like it makes the van feel really good about how awesome it is. And check it out. It was so lucky that we didn't get in that what was I even just going to say? It was so lucky that we didn't get in that car crash from our wheel breaking off going down the road at 80 miles an hour. That's because we are driving in a luck dragon named Falcor. So obviously, names matter, dude. Yelling names out loud passionately matters. Next time someone says Black Lives Matter or All Lives Matter, just say names matter. And then they'll be confused and leave you alone. Which is the most important thing. Janet has never been on Facebook. Congratulations, Janet. That is truly an achievement. I am literally proud of that. Good job. Israel Adams is in the house tonight. A mandate is a suggestion, not a law. That is true. That is a good point. It's not a law. And whenever they're trying to really, really force the issue, you can just remind them of that. This is not a law. It has no legal bearing on me. Vanguard of Truth is here. What's up, Vanguard? By the way, I'm doing a show tomorrow. What the hell? My screen just like... Oh, weird. I thought my screen whited out, but it's like supposedly a picture, but it's a picture of just whiteness. I don't know what that is. I'm doing a show tomorrow with I have the worst memory, so I actually have to look it up because that's how it goes, I'm doing a show tomorrow with... now I'm in the wrong email. I am doing a show tomorrow with... I'm just building up the anticipation. It's all planned. Here we go. The Idiocalypse. Idiocalypse, if you've heard of them. They're a pretty small little show. I'm very excited, though. They seem like a very cool show. I'm excited to connect with them. And we're doing a swapcast, so it's going to be live on their channel tomorrow morning. I think at 9:30 a.m. my time, so Mountain Time. And then I might restream it Sunday because it's supposed to be a swapcast, so I think that's how we're doing that. But you'll find out on Sunday if that's what's going to happen or if we're just going to sort of leave it for their show and get them the views and hits and stuff. We'll see. But anyway, that's happening tomorrow too. It's a long form sort of thing, so it's going to go anywhere from 1 to 4 hours. So check it in. If you can't make it the whole time, obviously, that's cool. But drop in and say what's up. Send the love. It'll be really nice. Oh my gosh. It's Vanguard of Truth and his wife's Tabitha's birthday today. Happy birthday to you both. You have the same birthday as your wife. That's insanity. How do you guys handle it? You're just like staring at mirror images of each other? That's so cool. Happy birthday to you both. What's up, Glizzy King? Mom. That makes me think that this is one of my old students. My students used to call me Mom. So if it is, tell me who you are, because hi. Nice to see you again. Yes. My name's not Karen, even though some people think so. I had someone comment on one of my videos today, because, you know, you get trolls and haters from time to time, and they commented, her voice, the interviewer's voice is so annoying. I was like, then don't listen. Bye-bye. How many states do I think Trump will win by in November? I think it's going to be a landslide. I think it's going to be insane. But I also think they might try to steal it, as they're telegraphing that they are going to do. Through all this like mail-in possible fraud and whatnot. And so it might, just like they've been saying lately, it might seem like he wins on the night itself, and then it might seem to change afterwards. And who knows? The controllers will do whatever they like, right? Israel Adams makes a good point. If we all threw our televisions in the street, there'd be no more COVID. It's absolutely true. I know very few people who have any actual real lived experience of COVID or of people they know having COVID. I mean, I think I had what they're calling SARS-CoV-2, and I think I had it last November, and it was brutal. But it was just a really bad cold or flu. It wasn't anything more than you would get any old time. Yeah. Nope, I'm not Jewish either. I'm not Jewish, and my name's not Karen. I'm very sorry to Tom Plays Games. The people on YouTube, which is where most people are, by the way, if you're on DLive, you want to chat with other people, go over to YouTube. But the people on YouTube, there are some people on DLive, and you don't see their comments. And so if you're like, who the hell is she talking to? That's who I'm talking to. But I do see both chats here, and Tom just hopped over to YouTube to tell me to check out the DLive chat, but I actually see them both here. I just slowly go through the chats because I like to actually read every single message that I get. I'm a weirdo like that. Tom Pelly, short-time listener, first-time chatter. What's up, Tom Pelly? Thank you for being here. It's awesome to have you. Let us know. And you guys, anybody listening, I really hope that you feel comfortable letting me know who you think I should interview and try to get on the show, subjects that you think I should cover. Some of the best shows I've done have been things that have come from listener suggestions. So not necessarily during a chat, because I'll just forget afterwards, but maybe email me at corysharman@gmail.com. Let me throw it in the chat really quick for you to know the spelling. And just let me know. Oh, I've invited Larkin Rose. Yes, I would love to have Larkin Rose. He hasn't responded. It's really cool. I've been very lucky. Some of the people who are much bigger like that who have come on the show, it's been awesome. It's so cool when people are not, not that there's anything wrong with Larkin not responding. It's totally cool. But it just, some people who are bigger don't let like the fame get to them, and they're just still normal people, and I really appreciate that. And by the way, I've got Gary Wayne coming up. Gary Wayne has been on twice or 3 times before. He wrote the Genesis 6 conspiracy. He's an insane biblical scholar. Like, he knows everything ever, in addition to the apocryphal texts and the extra biblical texts, and he has studied all of it, and he's such a wealth of information. He's so fun to talk to, because I love that stuff. I love it so much. It's been sort of one of my wheelhouses throughout life. And so he'll be back, and I am hoping I will have finished the book. The book is like a Bible in itself. It is a thick, well-researched academic treatise on the Genesis 6 conspiracy. So it's its own feat to get through, but I am getting closer to the end. I hope to be done with it before I interview him, but if not, it'll still be an awesome, awesome discussion. So it'll be really cool. But yeah, if any of you guys have connections with any of these people that you want to get on, you ask them if they want to come on, and then send them my way. Like, put us in touch with each other or whatever, because that's another way I've gotten really good guests, is listeners making those connections and putting us in touch, and it's been really cool. Have I heard of Young Pharaoh? I feel like I have, but I can't remember why. And I feel like I asked him to come on, but I'm not sure. Some people are really hard to get a hold of too, because they like only have a YouTube, and you have to comment on a video and then hope that they see it, and then respond, and that doesn't always happen. But yeah, Mike Williams from Sage Aquay was really cool. Got you going on alchemy. Yeah, we need to do more episodes on alchemy. If you guys haven't seen yet the episode that I pretty recently did with Alan Sisko on alchemical traditions around the world, such a good episode. Please go listen to it. If you haven't listened to it yet or watched it yet, do it. And if you don't know, this is also a podcast. You can always download the audio and just listen to it on your way to work or whatever, on a walk around the neighborhood or whatever you do. So don't feel like you have to watch on YouTube. Although I love chatting with you guys. I love that you show up live and support the show in that way. So the other bullshit that's going on lately that is, catching my mind. Oh, I wanted to show you guys things. I wanted to show you guys these things. Here we go. Oh, did this really go backwards? Nope. What? Okay. Anyway, I wanted to show you some pictures. This is us at the Twin Falls, Idaho. Like I said, we had gone there. There's this huge bridge. People base jump off of the bridge and fly down into this giant, almost Grand Canyon. I mean, it's not like the Grand Canyon, but it's a pretty epically huge canyon. And that was really fun. That was in Idaho. So you can still see how smoky it is. Like I said, it followed us for a while, but we eventually got away from it. It's still a tiny bit smoky here. This was camping on the Columbia River Gorge, but a little less smoky. Not too bad, really. It was pretty clear. I was pretty relieved at this point. This was a couple nights into the trip, and I was like, thank God. The mighty Columbia, such a beautiful river. We got to actually cross it at one of these southern points, and then again up on the very northern point, which was neat, too, to see it in multiple locations on one trip. This is Multnomah Falls, also in the Columbia River Gorge Valley. Giant, one of the longest, I think, waterfalls in the world. It was pretty heavy mask regulation area. A lot of people looked at us, said things out loud, but not to us, so we just ignored them. But they were like, oh, those people aren't wearing masks. Fuck them. But, no one directly confronted us. And we were literally the only people that weren't wearing masks, which is pretty sad that you can be outside at a waterfall and wearing masks. But again, we got to not wear masks, and that was cool. This was a ridiculous sign that we saw. It's so stupid. I was very loudly talking about, there's just 7 or 8 porta potties lined up next to each other, and they all had this sign that said, this restroom is only as clean as the last person who used it, and heavy use is expected. We cannot guarantee COVID-19 free environments. And I'm like, it's a porta potty. It's a porta potty. It's filled with other people's shit and urine. Yeah, it's not going to be clean. Duh. Who? So what I was saying loudly in the waiting area was, oh, isn't it so awful that before COVID-19, we could go into a porta potty and it'd be totally sterile, and now that coronavirus happened, we can't, and it's just dirty? When did people think they could go into bathrooms and have them be sterile? It's ridiculous. People have become pretty weird. Very strange. Anyway, that was a dumb sign that I saw. I also saw this cloth mask refresher spray. Effusia. It has the instructions to lightly spray. Do not wear the mask while spraying. Allow 20 seconds to air dry before... So it's basically the reason I loved this stupid product was because it's admitting that your face diaper is disgusting and that you have to spray it with essential oils to even pretend like it is something that you should be wearing on your face next to your orifices, which are one of the most sensitive areas of your body, and also where pathogens enter. So you're holding this dirty fucking face diaper up to your face all day, every day, but just spray it with essential oils and you'll be fine. It's pretty stupid. I just liked it because it admits that the mask is disgusting. The product itself admits that. Here's my family at the lake that we got to stay at for a week. Very lucky to spend time with my brother, my sister, who were in this photo. Their children, my mother, and her man, and it was a really great week. That's the view from the porch of the place we were staying. That's Lake Quinault. Awesome. I still, seriously, I don't know why there weren't more people here. It is not a heavily populated area, and it's pretty far from civilization, so that might be the only reason why it's not overflowing with people, but just gorgeous, untouched forest everywhere because it's the Olympic National Park and you can't log there. So really lovely. This was on just a short little walk away from the house we were staying. There's waterfalls everywhere in the Olympic National Forest. It is a rainforest, so it's very damp, very wet. And at this moment in the summer, it's a bit drier, but you know, there's still water everywhere. Got to go to the Pacific Ocean. It was just gorgeous. It was amazing. This beach is really beautiful. There's this tree called the Tree of Life. And as you can see, a landslide brought all of the bluff away from it. And so its roots are just hanging here in emptiness, and it's just holding on by these legs on the left and the right that you see. It's crazy because it's still alive. It's such a cool tree. It was really neat. I walked all up in and around that. It was a beautiful, that's again on the Pacific. I think I can't remember the name of the beach. It's one of the only sandy beaches on the Washington Olympic National Park section of the ocean. So this is Crescent Lake, also in the Olympic National Park. One of the most beautiful lakes in the world. I've been wanting to camp there my whole life. I used to drive by it weekly when I lived out there and taught on a Native American reservation, and I finally got to camp there on this trip. It was great. It was really gorgeous. This water, you can't tell, but it's like aquamarine blue, and you can see through it. It's just really beautiful. We went up to the North Cascades National Park. I love this picture because it looks like we photoshopped Johnny into it, but we didn't. That's actually just how it looks. It was fun. This is the North Cascades National Park here. The mountain here is, of course, covered a little bit in cloud, but for the most part, it was pretty clear when we were up there, which is also really rare. And there's some more of that aquamarine, beautiful water. This is Ross Lake or Lake Diablo. I can't remember which, but that whole Highway 20 through the North Cascades is gorgeous if you ever get a chance to do it. Anyway, that was a quick trip, but I wanted to show you guys this interesting thing that I saw. Talks by John Zerzan and Zach Hubbard. I'm seriously going to forget those names, you guys. Please email them to me. Stand with Sophie. Oh, God. I have heard a little bit about it. What's up, Desi Mac? Nice to see you. And Joseph Correa, hello. I have seen a little bit. I just barely, I didn't have reception this whole trip, but almost most of it. And so I saw like a little tiny clip of video, which was a girl crying for her dad to help her keep her away from this other guy who is a stepfather, I think, and he's molesting her. And it sounds pretty awful, but I haven't looked into it enough to comment on it except to say that pedophiles should die. I can say that no matter what. That's just true. What's up, Chris Phoenix in the house? Nice to see you again. That's a good point. Love in the Light points out the weird signs on the porta potties are more to protect from liability if people get sick than it is for anything else, which is very true. Very stupid and very true. Curious Life, what's up? Yes. Yeah, so this is interesting, and I'm not taking a stand either way, but we saw first this woman who got arrested allegedly because of a Facebook post. And so we see her getting arrested in this video that you've all likely seen. This is a little bit older. And then we saw this younger woman here not wearing a mask, and this cop like choke her, which is interesting because we have all of these themes this year about not being able to breathe. Choke her and kind of slam her around and get on top of her, like very disturbing treatment. It's like a slow assault. It's very weird. And they're both on camera, and they both kind of went viral, and everyone saw it, and most people, I think, thought about how oppressive that is. But it's interesting that someone points out that this is the same cop. I have no ability to say that that is for sure the same cop. There's lots of people that have this physique, that have the same balding pattern, that, I mean, they're wearing masks, so it makes it even harder. I'll say they both do have this strong nose line. Although this guy seems to have pretty different eyebrows than this guy. Anyway, it's just an interesting question. Is this the same cop? And if so, it indicates that perhaps these things are staged and that he is an actor, not unlike the crisis actors that we see in multiple events. And that these things are sort of being staged to make us feel like, things are getting crazier and more oppressive and all of these things. I have to say, I don't know what the point of that really is, because things are getting more oppressive. And again, not with regular people, but, you know, as far as like the state seems to be heading, like things are getting more oppressive and restrictive and insane. But I don't know why you'd need to stage these things and make them fake. But here it is. It's a possibility. Is it fake? I don't know. A lot of people think like literally everything is fake. Every single news item, every single political event, every single politician, I don't really go that far. I'm like, I think just the right amount of people are, you know, in the club and in the right positions to make most things go the way they want. And then there's a lot of useful idiots. And then there's people who are just totally think that what's going on is real and participating as they would. And, you know, I think it takes all types to make these things happen. So I'm not of the opinion that literally every single thing is staged and literally every person that we see anywhere in the public eye is, you know, a plant or whatever. But it could be. I'm open to the idea. I just don't think it's very likely. But anyway, who knows? Maybe they are staged. Maybe it is the same cop. What are you guys saying? Wisdom Trek is in the house. What's up? Trump is gutting Social Security with his payroll tax cuts. I bet. I do not expect any safety nets to be in place when this is all. I mean, our economy is going to crash no matter what. You can't just print money like this and pretend like it's cool. Like things are going to crumble. But that's why, if you've been watching my tarot readings, you know for months the readings themselves have been warning us to get really, really real with our wealth. Like if you can put money into things that are physical objects that help you survive and be independent, that's what you should be doing. Food, tools, garden things, you know, wells, water purification, like that stuff, that like really base level raw stuff, that's what you need. But yeah, don't ever depend on the government to help you. And if you do, it's going to come with a microchip and a shot. So just know that. It's not going to come without those ties. Sans Mimetics, what's up? You're in the house. You're saying they want people to manifest fear and obey. They have no real power. Yeah, that would be one reason to do this exact thing. You know, hire these people, pull this off, make people afraid, and then we self-censor and we behave in a certain way because we fear the repercussions. That's a really good point. That is a reason to do these things. So that's a good point. Andrew Braseno, nice to see you. Australia, apparently my friend down there, Kathy, if you're listening, Kathy, what's up? Kathy was saying today is a big day for protests and actions to try to keep Australia free. Australia is suffering, man. They've had a lot of really direct oppression. That was the first place that we saw entire apartment buildings shut down and people locked inside, which we thought could only happen in China and such countries. But no, it can happen in the West as well. Sans Medics, always a good point. Just disobey. No revolution needed. Exactly. If you're getting drawn into this whole revolution rhetoric and you're feeling like you need to like grab guns or something and go fight people, as I've said a million times, that's not ever going to be the right way. If someone directly threatens you or your loved ones and you're defending yourself and you use violence in that instance, I'm all for it. But if you're going out seeking it in any way, I think that that's just adding to the chaos, and it's literally what they want. They wouldn't be letting these protest, riot, looting situations go on if they didn't want it. They could easily stop it. We've seen them do millions of times before, and they don't because they want it to happen. And so if you're adding to that, you're doing what they want. That's my short answer to that. Just read articles on deep fakes for 2020, supposedly to disrupt the election. Yeah, deep fake technology is pretty disturbing. You really, and I've been talking about this for a while too. Many, many years I've been talking about this, but you really have to learn to get in touch with your body and the sort of, whatever you want to call it, the morphogenetic field, the etheric field, the field of information that exists all around you all the time. You really need to get in touch with that and practice understanding how to know what's real and what's not, and how to know what to trust and what not to trust. And it's literally just learning to know. I call it bodily knowing. I teach it. If you want to learn it, I'm happy to teach you. Just get in touch with me and let me know. We can do a session with as many of you as we want. via Zoom. It's not hard. Anyone can do it. And you need it more and more. We get more technologically advanced, and we get AI/demons more and more in control. And it's gonna get really confusing to a lot of people if you don't know how to see the truth. The food situation definitely worries me, and I didn't pull anything up for that today. But we've seen a lot of crop manipulation this year, and we saw a really late freeze that killed off a lot of things. We've seen droughts, we've seen storms, we've seen wind, we've seen all these things that have destroyed various crops in various ways. Local to me, we've seen a lot of crops destroyed here. The animals are still alive for now, which is good. That's a form of food, and even if you're vegan, you might have to consider eating meat if things go really south. But now we're also, where I'm at least, tell me what's going on where you're at, but where I'm at, we're going to see a really early freeze next Tuesday. It's going to be 30 degrees, and it's going to snow. It's going to be 90 tomorrow, and it's going to snow on Tuesday. So really crazy drop in temperature. The news guy said it's going to go 50 degrees down from one day to the next, so you're not going to have a lot of time to get used to it, and he's right. And that, I think, is going to affect crops again. And I just think a lot of the weather manipulation and fires and things that have been going on lately are designed to clear out certain areas, destroy certain crops, and just sort of manage things more and more towards Agenda 21. And so I'm pretty concerned about that. And I think just going back to that same idea that the more you can prepare to have food for yourself in your own way, whether it's, get a couple rabbits and have them in a hutch and learn how to raise rabbits. They're really easy to prepare for food. Get some chickens so you have eggs. Start as much of a garden as you can. Squash is really easy to grow, and it holds for a long, long time. You can preserve it in many different ways. Learn how to ferment. There's really easy, what are they called? There's a fermenting system I use that's, why do I forget words? It's like oxygen-free, anaerobic. It's anaerobic fermentation. It's very easy. You basically pour water and salt and your veggies into a jar, put on this special lid, stick it in the pantry, and let it sit forever. All these things you can do. Anyone can do. We used to all do it regularly. And so these are things you may want to look into. But some people are saying a virus can't infect food. There's a question what viruses are and what they can do. And I don't know. I just know that it's good to have your own food sources. No, nothing has been logical this year. Yeah, and Captain Obvious makes a good point. The election doesn't really matter. It's all a psyop. We have no real choice. It's always been like that, and that's what it's fun to try to guess what they'll do. And it's really, really good to not get emotionally invested in it because they're just going to do whatever they want to do, and it really has nothing to do with us. Like, we can't... I mean, I think we can affect it, not in the ways that they offer for us to affect it. Yeah, Captain Obvious says grocery stores are packed with rotting produce and strawberry quality is an all-time low. Seriously, the food quality's been very strange this year, but I think it's for those same reasons I said, where I think they're manipulating weather and destroying crops, and then what we have left that's in the stores is, bleh. It's not great. I'm just glad we have food still, because I'm still stocking up on some food as we go, and I have my garden, I got my chickens and whatever, but stray chickens all over. Yeah, so go hunting for eggs in that situation and maybe capture a few of the chickens and make them work for you. And yeah, Sandsman Medics makes a good point too. I've talked about it as well. Eating one meal a day, learning how to fast is very, very important, especially learning the water drink that you can make. Snake juice is what Cole Robinson, I think that's his name, calls it. I wanted to get him on the show, but he doesn't do shows anymore. He just does his own show. Snake Diet guy, super cool guy, has a drink where you add basically a little bit of salt, a little bit of baking soda. You want to know the exact proportions, and so you want to go to him to find those out. But that drink has everything, all the minerals your body needs to keep going, and so you can, use your own body fat and calories that you already have stored if you need to fast, and it's a lot easier than trying to do it without that drink. It's just a very simple drink that can help you learn to fast. That's a great thing to do. If you don't already do it, I would practice it now in case you have to soon. Isaiah Smith says they're shipping in cows because they made them kill them off. I remember they were killing off cows at some point. It had something to do with COVID, allegedly, but it was like, it didn't make any sense. But as someone already said, nothing in 2020 has made sense. But getting chickens as we speak, good job, Sansomedics. I really highly recommend. Chickens are pretty easy to raise if you've got any size of yard at all. Very, very easy. And so chickens and rabbits both. Very easy to raise and a good amount of food that comes from them. Rabbits are easier to have, the male and the female, because a lot of places have restrictions on roosters. Like, we can't have a rooster where I'm at, but I have every faith that we could find a rooster if we needed to produce babies. It would just be nicer to know and just have it already, but we're not allowed to. And rabbits, you can have male rabbits. There's no restrictions on rabbits anywhere as far as I know. So yeah, so get yourself food secure. That's important. Here's another thing I wanted to comment on. This guy who murdered someone in the streets of Portland. This did look very real to me. There's video of it. It doesn't look staged. The part that could be staged to me is that this guy himself may be an actual operative that is, playing this role. I mean, he's got this tattoo on his neck of that symbol, but that symbol is not just a Black Lives Movement symbol. That fist in the air has actually been a symbol that's been used in many, many revolutionary organizations, including the ones that I was associated with in the early 2000s. And so that's not new. He could just be a longtime revolutionary and just have that tattoo. But it just, like I said, the event itself seems real. I feel like he actually did go up to a random stranger because he had, not even Trump related. It was just like patriotic apparel on, maybe Christian apparel or something, and just executed him, assassinated him, just killed him. And so he's a murderer. And then he tried to say it was for self-defense, but the video clearly shows it wasn't. He seems insane. If you watch this video at all, it seems like he's not well. It seems like he's backpedaling a bit and, trying to get out of it. And then the police allegedly find him north of Portland, near the capital of Washington, in a small sort of suburb called Lacey, where I used to live again, and killed him. Which I can imagine, being someone who just murdered someone in pretty cold blood and then fled, and, you might come out shooting or come out, like, rearing a fight. And so I can imagine that the cops would then shoot back at you or whatever happened. Who knows? I don't know what happened. But it does say he drew a weapon as the officers tried to arrest him. He definitely thought that cops are sort of right-wing fascist, like, organizations, which you could make an argument for, I guess. But I don't think most cops are fascists. By the way, did you know that fascism just means that the government and owns the corporation, or like manages the government and the media and the corporations are all sort of one entity, and that's basically what we are, right? Let's be real here. So in that way, yeah, I mean, they are kind of, but not like he was thinking. I don't think the cops have like a agreement to like only protect right-wing people at all, like not even a little bit. But what do I know? Maybe. Anyway, like I said, I think it's possible he himself is an actor or a plant, but that doesn't mean he didn't kill someone. It doesn't mean that he didn't then get shot, because wouldn't it be nice if you got somebody to pull off your plans for you? You're like, hey, just go kill people and we'll totally like pay you off or whatever. And then you just kill them afterwards. Like, oops. Or it's all just real and he's not a plant at all and he killed someone and then got shot. I think it's one of those two things. I don't think the story itself is false. I do think that this guy got murdered in cold blood. His friends are pretty ripped up about it. It's interesting that this guy, the shooter, the killer, his sister came out and she was like, honestly, it's kind of a relief that he's dead. I'm like, whoa. She didn't even seem to have that much animosity. She just genuinely seemed like she had been worried about him for a long time and that he's unstable, and that she was kind of like, yeah, something was going to happen, so at least now it's over. And that she was more worried that people were going to take his shooting as this, like, martyred cause to go out and cause more violence towards other people, which would just keep the cycle going. And she makes a very good point. And so I hope people don't do that. But who knows what they'll do. People are crazy. Yes. Oh, gross. Yeah, Love in the Light points out they're 3D printing chicken. Let's be like more, let's not use that language. Let's say they're 3D printing chicken DNA or something. Chicken related protein matter. Like, it's not chicken, right? I mean, I know you know that. It's gross. That's disgusting. And I know that you can say materialistically, from a scientific point of view, from an objective point of view, like it's the same makeup chemically and whatever, like I get that. I just, being someone who actually understands the interconnectedness of everything and the way that energies that we don't measure or explain exist, and that morphogenetic field and the information field and all of these things aren't in that meat, right? So what's in that meat? Like, I don't want to know what energy is in that meat, because it's not the natural energy that I want in my body. When I eat a chicken, I want to believe, and I try to make sure that it had somewhat of a decent life and was taken care of and honored, and I honor it as I'm eating it, and I'm grateful, and none of that is sort of going on with this like 3D printed meat like material. So gross. Yuck. Yes, fasting is, again, I don't like to tell anybody to just fast without looking into it, studying it, making sure it's right for you. I have a thyroid disorder. Other people have other disorders that might make it not the right thing for you. But like I said, if you can do it, if you learn that snake juice, water, salt, sodium, sort of mixture, and you understand how to do it well, I think it would be a good thing to practice as we're going into it. But don't just go out and like stop eating because, I'm not a doctor. And that means that I don't kill people, right? But I'm supposed to tell you to ask your doctor. But at least consult, your own body, and like know your own limits and look into the effects of it and see if it's right for you. But it's definitely worth checking out Cole and the Snake Diet channel and seeing. You don't have to go as hardcore as him either. He gives you a lot of options. I don't, but you can too. Eric Foster, what's up? 3:30 in the morning. Wow. Serena Del Mar. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I try to do a little bit of news coverage now and then. I like to get your guys' ideas. And I like to vent. Yeah, Isaiah, I agree with you. I think fasting should be part of our daily lives. Even if you just take it as simply as like not eating when it's dark out, maybe getting like a 12-hour break from digestion in there. Well, really it's going to be like a 4-hour break from digestion, but anyway, trying to get a break from digesting food for your body. It's nice for your organs. It's nice to be able to recoup some of that energy. It is a good skill, yes. Chris says, most of the cops I know are good guys. Absolutely. Most of the cops I think any of us have ever interacted with are pretty good people. There's some bad ones, and they make it really, really, really bad. They have a lot of power, and like with any position of power, that can go terribly wrong, but we shouldn't necessarily hold that against everybody. Billy Harmon, what's up? Nice to see you. Billy says, I think 2020 has pushed many people who are on the brink right over the edge. It's true, including people like this murderer here. It's crazy to see people cheering it on. There's been rallies where people are like, he was defending Black lives. Like, no, he wasn't. He walked up to a random person in the street and executed them. Like, if you're supporting that, I can't imagine your mental state. You're clearly very stunted emotionally and mentally if you can say that this man should have killed this other man. Like, there's something deeply wrong with you. But that's sort of the running theme that unites all of these people, not all, many of these people who are out here fomenting this violence and this revolutionary atmosphere, is that they're deeply stunted individuals who have not dealt with their own personal turmoil, and they're projecting it now upon the rest of us. It's very childish. It's really unfortunate, and it sucks when you have a whole generation of people who don't know how to take responsibility for themselves, because this is what we see. It's very easy to use them to political advantage, which is what's happening. Yes. Yeah, it's awesome to see you guys all here. We've got pretty loyal fans. I love it. This is interesting as well. It's so stupid. Nancy Pelosi got her hair did, and it was a black market hair doing. I just think it's so funny. It's like, It's so rude, though. It's so rude. So, like, all the people who are trying to follow the rules, they're like, okay, so we still can't open hair salons, so people still can't get their hair done. And, like, this has been going on for months now, and no one can do it. So, if someone wants to, they do have to do, like, a black market hair. Like, it's crazy. And then we've got Lori Lightfoot came out and got her hair done, and she got caught, and she was like, well, I mean, I take my whatever aesthetics very seriously. And it's like, yeah, so does everyone almost. So do most people. Like, why are you special? You're not, you asshole. Seeing these people who think that they're special and think that they should be able to get, you know, whatever service they want, even though no one else can, is so rude. It's so rude. Like, what a heartless piece of shit you have to be to act like this. I mean, this is Nancy Pelosi's own state of California, where she has been part of the effort to make these things illegal and keep people on lockdown, and she goes out and gets her hair done. It's pretty frustrating. Again, I know it's all a show. I get that this is all, like, set up. There's no way that she's stupid enough to just do this and trust that this woman won't out her or whatever. I mean, maybe, though. Maybe. It's very possible. But it's more likely meant to make us upset and to make many people upset. But she did. She got caught doing it. She wasn't even wearing a mask. It's like blah, blah, blah. We all know. None of us are that surprised. We're like, yeah, you don't have to wear a mask because there's not actually anything going on. And yeah, you can get your hair done because there's no danger in that. But normal people, I think, looking at this, normal people, like we're not normal, the abnormal people who are caught up in the mainstream narrative and believe it, they look at this, I think, and they're like, wait a second. I think this pokes holes. I think for them, they have this cognitive dissonance because they're like, if Nancy Pelosi isn't wearing a mask and she's 70 or whatever she is, 80, she's old, then isn't she in danger? And if she's not wearing a mask and she's not in danger, then why have they been telling us we're all in danger? Like, I think it's getting some of the gears turning, and that's what I find interesting about it, is seeing people try to deal with that. I'm not laughing at them. I'm just laughing because it's funny that, like, yeah, you have to deal with it at some point. You have to deal with the cognitive dissonance at some point, because at some point something has to leak through this wall of lies that you've bought, and you have to, like, ask yourself, like, what's actually going on? And again, as always, I feel really bad for anyone who, like, this is the moment that the red pill sinks in, because it's a heavy set of circumstances to see through all of a sudden. I think 9/11 was a pretty good one. I think this one supersedes that. I think seeing through this, you kind of see all of it at once. Maybe you don't get to the, like, baby eating satanic pedophilia, like, dark magic shit right away, but everything else, you're like, oh shit, everything is literally a lie. All the news, all politicians, all these laws, all this social conditioning, like, everything. And that's a lot to see through all at once. So that's what makes me giggle. Not in a way that I'm making fun of people, but just like, sorry that that's what you're going to go through now. So I hope this wakes even more people up, and I hope that it causes that cognitive dissonance and people, you know, start to see through it. That'd be cool. But what a stupid thing. Like, and then she's like, it was a setup. They set me up. And I'm like, what, they, like, made you get your hair done? No, you still did it. I mean, again, if you were, like, taking this in any way at all, like, it's not staged. It's like, you chose to get your hair done. Even if it was a setup, you chose to buy the cocaine, or you chose to get the hooker, or whatever it is. Like, it doesn't matter if it was a setup or not. You still did the thing. You stupid cunt. Am I allowed to say cunt? I know, Chris, I kind of have a crush on Kaylee. She's such a really badass thinker and orator, and I know that she's part of the system, whatever, but you can still respect the aspect of her skill. I think she's pretty cool. Unfortunately, I think she's cool. I know, it's an unfortunate truth. Clint Richardson... Yeah, Clint Richardson was going to come on the show, and it didn't work out. So maybe he'll come back someday, but we'll see. Good suggestion, though. Yeah, that Lori Lightfoot needs, like, more than a hairdresser. Like, seriously, the first time I saw her, I said, what is that? Because I didn't know what the gender of this individual was, or the sex. And also, her eyes are very strange, and she looks like a gnome or like a weird troll creature. Like, she's very disturbing looking, and it's very interesting that she is a leader. Not because of her looks, but like her behavior is really horrible. It's like she has no personality. The personality she has is like kind of vicious and vindictive. Like almost every time I've seen her speak, it's been to like snipe back at someone or like attack someone. She seems like, what a gem. She seems pretty rough. Exactly. A creature from a Star Wars scene. Chris knows what I'm talking about. Love and the Light says Georgia opened hair salons and tattoo parlors before anything else. That's pretty funny. Tattoo parlors should be probably the last place you open. I mean, there's like open wounds everywhere, but I love it. I don't even care. I think that's great. The Drunken Fool says most people are blinded by Trump. Yeah, Trump's a really easy blinder. I have an episode called Trump's Trinity, or the Trinity of Trump. No, it's Trump's Trinity. And it goes through the tripartite way that he has hoodwinked even conspiracy-minded and discerning individuals. Very interesting enigma. Nice. Serena says she finally found an inroad with parents who are thoroughly blue-pilled by showing them the RFK Jr. speech in Berlin. Nice job. Yeah, the vaccine does seem to be coming in November. Sad Cyclops, nice to see you. Good point. It's definitely coming, and it's coming a little sooner, I think, than we were really told that it would come. And it's starting to feel like November is going to be like a clinching moment of possible chaos, because they're going to have the election seem to go one way and then possibly say it's going to go another way, and that's going to cause possibly a lot of division and like the real civil war, you know? Like, people are calling this right now a civil war, and I'm like, we'll see. When there's like a lot of people out like cultural revolutioning it up and like forcing people to say and do certain things and renounce certain things and killing people more than just like one person here and there in a city at a time, then I'll say sure, it's a civil war. But I think if the civil war is coming, it's gonna maybe be around November through January and be surrounding this election hysteria and that possibly the vaccine administration might be happening at the same time. It might be really intense. Someone asked me the other day, my good friend Sasha asked what we expect, you know, is the second lockdown coming and what's going on. And my answer was perhaps by September 18th was my guess, just for my own reasons, that that they might be coming back with some more lockdowns, and that it's going to be, you know, a push to get the vaccine through, and that we might see like a more significant actual viral, or whatever you want to call it, set of deaths and symptoms that are scarier than what we've seen so far. That's my guess, is that they are going to unleash the real guns, and that this was all just sort of the prep for that. And I hope that's not true, and I hate fear porn, so I don't want to seem like I do know the future, or that that's definitely what's coming, but it's possible. And again, just like if you watch the tarot reading for September, I really want to emphasize that you yourself and your body and your field, you don't have to let that in at all. You can know that that is happening, or that it might happen. You can think about it, but you can know that your body is stable and strong, and it was meant to protect you from any outside invasion. The more you are in tune with that idea of yourself, and you hold that as true and are confident in it, the more you're going to get through anything they might sort of throw our way. The vaccine worries me more than any, you know, other release of some sort of agent that they might do. And that's because you would be literally letting it into your body, and that's a mental, spiritual, and physical agreement you're making to let whatever's in that into you. And I think you can mitigate that and sort of possibly undo it, but I'm not sure with this new vaccine, like we've talked about on the show. If you want to go back to the episode called The Beast Inside of You, I really break it down how it's a sort of dark magic ritual. This vaccine is different from the rest. And so, like I've said before, and I will say forever, and you'll see maybe the reality, hopefully not, but I will die before I get it, and it's not going to go in my body. So just to touch on those things again. Brother Michael is here. What's up? Shadows in the house. I won't read that comment, Shadow, but I love it. Rogue haircuts. Yeah, that's the way to do. I've been cutting my own hair for a while, ever since I think it was Allegra, my sister-in-law, who hopefully, did I say that right? Sister-in-law? Yeah. Sister-in-law, who hopefully we're going to be doing an episode soon. She has a show too, and she's awesome. They have this homestead, this off-grid sort of lifestyle that she goes through, and she also does a lot of really beautiful art. Here's just, I keep this on my desk, and it's a whale that she did watercolor. She does all kinds of beautiful art. She's very talented. Anyway, I think it was her who kind of was like, yeah, I cut my own hair, and it like unleashed. I was like, oh my God, I can cut my own hair. And I've just been doing that ever since. Like, so I empower you all to have, I support you all in doing rogue haircuts. Are poppy eyes a symptom of iodine deficiency? Interesting. I did not know that. That might be why the creature known as Lori Lightfoot looks so strange. Jeff Castro, what's up? He makes a good point. A lot of truthers are holding on to Trump because he's sort of the last hope. Yeah, I do think that's true, and I'm not immune to it. Every once in a while, I'm like, maybe he is. I shouldn't even say every once in a while. Pretty consistently, I have a sliver in my mind, and this is just who I am as a person. I've got the truth as I know it in one hand, and I've got my other hand open for the truth that might replace it, because I know I'm not omnipotent and I don't know everything. So there's always a sliver where I'm like, maybe he is rad. Maybe he is here to save the world. Maybe that's awesome. It could be. I can't disprove it, so I can't deny it. But yeah, there's a lot more. There's a lot more evidence pointing towards this very, very well done, well pulled off set of interlocking psyops that are behind him. It's really incredible. Again, go check out the episode called Trump's Trinity if you want to get really deep into that idea of the psyops that make Trump so enticing to so many people. Yeah, a lot of talk of the vaccine coming by November. Yeah, December 21st alignment, Israel Adams points out, it looks interesting. I just did an episode with Athen Commenti, and we talk about it a tiny bit. I wish we would have talked about it more, but he could only do an hour, and so we were limited on how long we could spend on any given topic. But we do touch on it, so if you didn't see that episode, go back. Listen, towards the end is when we get towards that alignment and what it means. Very interesting. I can tell he's not sort of, I felt like he wasn't necessarily like going as hard as he could have into like how bad it could be, but trying to be sort of hopeful almost, but still being honest. So an interesting look at that. There's a lot out there on that alignment and the other astrological things that are happening in the same sort of time period. Very fascinating astrological time. It's looking like it's going to be pretty tumultuous. But we'll see, we'll see. This year was looking pretty tumultuous, and it has been, so you never know how it's going to go. But it seems like astrology is a pretty good indicator. Jaylee Thepthongson. I probably didn't say that right, but it's nice to see you. Yes, they likely did plan to open back up after the election, and they do likely need a good reason in the vaccine. We were talking about this too. Like, what if the vaccine is actually just saline, and it's just like, we're supposed to look crazy by denouncing it, and it's not, but they would pull something like that, but who knows. Yeah, Billy Harmon's got the idea. Take your ass to the woods for the entire month of November and just escape all that bullshit. Lindsay says the Kentucky governor just said he won't mandate the vaccine because it's too soon and not safe. Yeah, that is mind-blowing. Wow. Good for him. Let's all move to Kentucky. And we know South Dakota won't either, I think, right? South Dakota has also said that. But she says, but that's because he wants us locked down and in masks forever. Oh, well, fuck. Yeah, that sucks. Dude, it's such a weird thing to, like, want a vaccine so we can open up again. I don't actually, but I can see how that sentiment could be rising. Wow. Serena says her nieces are going to throw a party when the vaccine comes. Oh my God. I don't understand what people think vaccines are about, because you can even look at the flu vaccine Oh, has my picture been really tiny this whole time? Anyway, you can look at the flu vaccine and see that it's 5%, 10%, not usually any more than 30% effective in any given year, and it has side effects, and people die from it. And that's just the flu vaccine. And we look at these other vaccines, there's a huge correlation between, for example, the Gardasil vaccine and people getting cervical cancer. I'm one of them. It was cervical precancer, and I managed to get rid of it, thank God. But, you know, these things, there's so much. I have an episode called Vaca Nation or something. I tried to be like sneaky with the titling, that I went through piece by piece all the documented peer-reviewed journal articles and studies and court case documents and all these things that kind of show how really disgusting vaccines are. They don't get how we got people to be like, oh, once there's a vaccine, we're just cured, everything's fine, and we can all just go out and like swap spit and like have parties and stuff. And like, I think you could do that anyway, no matter what. But I also don't understand why you would just trust that a vaccine would be any more than, let's say, 30% at best effective. Like, it's still, no vaccine has been ever claimed to be like much more effective than that. So why this one? How come people believe that this one's suddenly going to be like 100% going to be great? Like, they've done a really good mind fuck on people. Yeah. Steiner said there will be a vaccine to remove the soul. Dude. So, my newest novel, Earth, A Trough in Time, if you haven't got it, it was free on Kindle for a little while. It's not now, but it's pretty cheap on Kindle. I think it's $20 for a paper copy. I'm getting some soon to sign for you and send to you. If you want to get them that way, you can hold out a little longer. For some reason, it's going to take like 3 weeks for them to get here. But the basic premise is the same theme that I've been on for over a decade, and things that I write and things that I produce and the art I make and the books I write. And that is that technology is leading us towards a point where demonic entities, whatever you want to call them jinn, you know, call them whatever you want, but they're the same thing. Those entities that have been so jealously trying to possess us, influence us, get in our bodies and control us, get in our minds and control us, all these things, they really want to like take over. They want to be the entities that are masters on Earth, you know, we'll say. And they are going to be real happy when they find a way, using a combination of technology and human will, because human will is required. You cannot do this without our agreement, to get our souls detached from our bodies. It's been I just know it. I've known it my whole life. I've been talking about it my whole life. You know, it's in the book. If you want to read the book, it's a fantastic story that concerns all of these things. Kind of a fucked up story because it's pretty real, but it seems fantastical. Anyway, that's definitely the goal, and I would not be shocked, given, again, the dark magic and esoteric sort of implications of this specific vaccine, if this is the way that they, I wouldn't say remove your soul, because I don't actually think that that's that easy to do, but at least to get pretty close to what Catholics might call a perfect possession, or to get a very huge wedge divided between your soul and your body, and to make it pretty difficult for you to ever come back from that. I wouldn't be surprised, because I've seen this theme building up all this time, and Lindsay, thank you for saying that. I didn't know that Steiner said that, or if I did know that, I forgot it, but that's interesting that he would say the same thing. And I'm not joking when I say I'll die first. I think maybe people think I'm just being like really radical or something, or I'm like trying to like, I don't know, just be emotional. I'm not. I'm just saying like I'll die first. I don't even care if it is the vaccine to divide us from our soul or not. It's just on principles alone. But a lot of those come from my spiritual knowing that whatever they're planning is very dark, and that the end game is to convince us to freely, using our will, give up our claim on our own bodies and souls, and to let those entities in, and to let them control more and more of humans and humanity and Earth. And so, yeah, resist that. They can't do anything without your consent. They can't. So just don't. Just don't. It sucks while it cuts. The drunken fool, that's funny. The suck and cut. Wayne's World. Nice reference. Yes. Lori Lightfoot is such a weirdo. Serena, yes, the Saturn, Jupiter, Sun, Mercury conjunction. And there's more going on too. I just don't remember because I don't have the mind for details, but there's a bunch of different astrological things happening. Yeah, I need to brush up myself as well. Maybe I'll do a whole episode soon on just that and what I can learn about it. I need to write it down. You guys, I'm not prepared. Because that would be a good episode. Okay, since I got my notepad out, which I should have had out all along, you should tell me again if you haven't emailed me your ideas for a show, topics or guests. Got the astrological occurrences show in my notes. Chris, what's up, Chris? Nice to see you. You're not lagging. I am. I'm way back in the chat. Wherever you guys are talking about, I go through all of them. Again, I'm the slow one. Chris just moved to South Dakota. Dude, that's so rad. I heard that and I was really happy, and I couldn't tell you because I'm not on Facebook right now, but I want to follow you. South Dakota is like one of the places where we can still be free, and that's a really good move, I think. So nice job. Jealous and might follow you soon. We might be neighbors soon. Yeah, Love in the Light says supposedly every CV death had a flu vax. I've heard it multiple times. I don't know the veracity of that claim, but I would not be shocked, especially because they talked about putting adenovirus or rhinovirus and coronavirus in this last flu shot batch. And we know that when people in the past have gotten corona, adeno, or rhinovirus vaccines, when they encounter those viruses in the wild after the vaccine, they have a hyper-violent response and often die. And so it's very possible that there is no new virus at all. It's just that happened. They gave everybody this flu batch and had those things in it, which would also remind you that if they actually are putting these families of viruses in this upcoming vaccine, most likely everyone who gets it would have a very violent death soon after, within, however long it takes you to encounter the virus in the wild, sometimes months, sometimes days. So there's one more reason not to take it. Someone also brought up the swine flu in the, the 70s or the 80s, where they were like, oh, everybody's on swine flu, get the vaccine. They're offering everyone these vaccines, and then people got maimed and died and like all kinds of shit from that vaccine. Oh my God, I thought I was going to sneeze and I didn't. I hate that, actually. I want to sneeze. I hate the feeling of not sneezing. Billy's 50 with underlying conditions and have never masked. Good job, Billy. Yeah, I got rid of my cancer, by the way, through folic acid. I'm not a doctor and cannot advise you on your health shit and stuff, so do your own stuff and go to your doctor or whatever. I got rid of my cancer through folic acid or folate or both. I can't remember. It was so long ago. Through eating healthier. I was eating pretty healthy, but I also cleaned up even more than that to get through it. I quit smoking because smoking obviously is a huge carcinogen. And I know there was more than that, but I can't remember. Oh, I think I dosed pretty high on vitamin C. Not too. I didn't know about like mega dosing, but I think I was taking vitamin C and D. Yeah. Every day, and the folic acid, which I had to buy from another state because it's like illegal in some states or something. I don't know. It was crazy, and I don't even remember how I managed it, but I did it because even way back then, I understood that traditional medicine was whack, and I was like, well, I'll try this. This has like some good reviews or whatever, and it worked. It was very aggressive and very quick, and the doctors were like shocked how fast it was coming on and taking over my cervix. But like I said, I beat it back, and they were just as shocked that it receded so quickly. So I told them all those things I did, but, as usual, they were like, yeah, it's not that. It's like that we did this other procedure, which maybe they could be right. I don't know. I did some other procedures too. Like the LEEP, they like slice off a surface layer of your of your cervix. It's awful. Sorry to say that, but that's just one of my major medical maladies, but I'm very lucky to have found pretty good solutions to all of them. Many of them nutritional based. I'll give you the update. My AIP journey, autoimmune protocol diet that I've been doing for my thyroid. A lot of you are like, oh, you seem refreshed and whatever. And it is definitely because of this awesome vacation I had, but it's also because I've been eating AIP for, I think, 3 weeks now, 4 weeks maybe. And I just feel so much better. I feel so much better. My hair is still falling out in massive amounts, so that's confusing. But all my other symptoms are incredibly way better. If you are out there and you have an autoimmune problem, please try the AIP diet. It is difficult to get used to and to get started just because it's so different from what we're used to, but it is so amazing how quickly it can help make you feel better. And I just keep reminding myself anytime I'm like, I want macaroni and cheese or like something, I just remind myself that it's way better to feel better than it is to have like a minute of good taste. And then I took a bite of macaroni and cheese the other day because it was like a little mini cheat, and I was like, that isn't even that good. Like, it wasn't worth it at all. So your taste buds change, your body sort of accumulate. What am I trying to say? Gets used to it. Acclimates was the word my brain wanted to the diet, and you get used to it, and you prefer it actually. Like, I like things like my breakfasts now all have vegetables. Like, they're mostly vegetables, and then like some meat maybe. And like, I love it now. It's funny. It's funny what you can do. So repeat my email. Yeah, it's corysharman@gmail.com. And I will type it one more time for you guys who are sending me show ideas and guest ideas. And again, please do just contact any guests you have connections with and ask them if they want to come on the show. I'm pretty open to talking to most people. What I've really wanted lately is to talk to people who are like on the other side, like people who really are open-minded but are, I don't know, in support of riots and violence or like, things like that. So I'd love to like talk to people and get what they really think about it without devolving into just like fighting. And like almost no one seems capable of using logic and just talking. But if that could happen, I would love that. If you know people who are actually rational and would like to converse about that, that'd be fun too. Yes. I lost where I was in the chat. So is the book supernatural fantasy? Yeah, pretty much. It's like supernatural fantasy sci-fi. And it's a sequel to Sine Curve of Aeons, which is the previous book, but you can read them in any order. And the trilogy, it is a trilogy. And when the third book comes out, you can also read that in any order. So literally, you can pick up any book and read it, and there's like nothing lost. And you can also start in the middle and go to the end and go back to the beginning. Like, it's pretty cool like that. You can jump around, and it's connected, but very easy to interchange. And they are all supernatural fantasy sci-fi type of genre. Maybe action, maybe like love. I don't know. I'm really bad at categorizing my own work, but supernatural fantasy sounds like a pretty good description of them. True, all the good stories are fucked up at their core. It's kind of fucked up. It's pretty cool. I personally love these books. Like, I would read them in a heartbeat if someone else wrote them. I wrote them because no one else wrote them yet. And then you've maybe heard the story of how it all just like came to me in a rush and then came to me as I was writing it. And I didn't, and still don't have it all mapped out, even though I'm going to do the last and final book next. It's so weird. It just like hits me. Today I was doing something totally disconnected and not related at all. And I got like like in my head, like, oh, this is what's going to be in the book. And I had to like open this other document where my notes for the third book are and like add this like blurb, and then it's like, okay, and close it and like move along with what I was already doing. But that happens. And then I also, when I sit down to write, I just like sit there for a minute, like staring at the screen, like, okay, like what am I going to do? I don't know what happens next. I don't know even what the characters are or anything. And I'll be sitting there, and then all of a sudden I'll just start to get like images. It's just images come in my mind. I'm like, oh, that's what's going to happen. And then I just write it out. So that's the book. The books, they both happened that way. And the third is already starting to happen that way, which I have to tell you, it's an honor. I'm very I'm honored to be the mother of these books, but I also, like, I just finished the second one, and I kind of wanted a little break to maybe work on other things, but the third one's already coming, and I shouldn't have even said that because I'm grateful and I want it to keep coming, but there is a little part of me that's like, couldn't I have, like, had a longer break? But whatever. By the time I get done with it, everyone will be like, dude, where's the third one? So I do need to start it anyway, so it's good. It's good. It's good, true, and beautiful. Religion has definitely created a disconnect between ourselves and our spirits, and that does cause chaos. Agreed. Yeah. Captain Obvious says, Wiccan practitioners I look into this summer have entities to help them, and I've done the same, and it actually works. Definitely. I talk about this on Tinfoil Hat recently. I've talked about it on this show. And my advice is to never, ever work with any entities because they are much, much incredibly beyond even our comprehension. We wouldn't even be able to understand how smart they are and cunning. And you think you're getting a good deal and you're not. That's my experience. If your experience is different, that's cool. I just do not recommend it. I have could go into great detail about what the dangers of working with random entities. It does work. It works fantastically. My tarot readings were amazing when I was working with an entity. And they're still amazing, but for different reasons. But you can do amazing things with entities. I don't think that we as humans have enough scope of understanding to really get what we're giving away when we do that, and we definitely don't get what we how things are going to turn out for us later because of these connections we make. But definitely do your thing, go your path, and do what you love, and if that's how you feel fulfilled at a soul level, then do that. And I'll just add to that, Captain Obvious and anyone else paying attention to this thread of this conversation, that anything that these entities can do for us, we can do for ourselves, and we don't need them to do. And it's very, very true. And I have another episode that I would recommend called Technology is a Travesty of Your Innate Power. And that's my point in the episode, is that a lot of people use these entities and these energies to try and achieve something, including using technology to achieve something that we think that we can't do on our own. And in every single circumstance, we've seen humans who can do anything that technology or these entities can do, able to do without entity attachment. And so I just encourage everyone to, if there's something that you're aiming to, try to be able to do, and you think you need an entity for it, try instead, if you would like, practicing building up your own self and your own spirit and directing your intention and focus towards whatever it is you're trying to do, and see if you can't just do it yourself. And it may take a while. The entity route is the quick and dirty route, and there's a reason for that. Nothing is ever free, right? That idea that I can't remember if it was Johnny or who brought it up on the Sam Tripoli episode I did with Tinfoil Hat, but one of them brought up the concept that there's no free ride in biology, right? There's no free ride really anywhere. So if you're getting this like really quick, really easy access to this amazing skill or power, there's probably something you're giving up for it. You probably don't really understand it yet. Billy says writing shit down will become a better friend as you get older. Dude. Oh, it's still, I mean, I go through so much content. Like, there's pages. This is just one of my many notebooks that's filled with ideas, notes, people, names, dates. Like, it still won't, I still won't remember it, but I can always find it again if I need. Sorry, just looking at the chat still. 33 people watching. Ooh, Illuminati. No, that's rad. 33 is a rad number. We have a perfect group here. Except I ruin it by being 34, huh? Yay! Chris says the freedom in South Dakota is so amazing compared to Maine. The kids are smiling and having so much fun. Good. That makes me so happy. I was not in any way fearful of the entities I was working with at all. And they attacked me anyway. So I don't agree with you. It is not. I think a lot of people have that conception that like your perception of these entities is what dictates how they act, or that you're sort of creating the reality by like projecting that onto them. Or I totally get that concept, and that is not my experience. I understand the idea, and I disagree. Oh, this is totally the place. Anybody can say whatever they like here. Planet X, yeah, I was just reading again in Gary Wayne's Genesis 6 conspiracy today, and he was talking about how the word signs, you know, we look at it in a lot of biblical quotes. I love that I still just have this on Kaylee McEnany when we're not even talking about that. Here, a lot of these things say like, oh, there'll be signs and wonders, and we think about like, what are signs? And apparently signs actually meant astrological phenomenon. And then I think about how a lot of these astrological phenomena are going to happen towards the end of the year, and then people are looking at whether or not there's like a planet X or, you know, planet Nibiru or whatever coming, and whether or not sort of chemtrails and what's going on in the sky is hiding some of these things, and they're actually like they're visible right now, or just it's hidden from us or whatever. And those things are all possible and very interesting to think about. And it would also indicate, given a lot of prophecies, biblical and not, that we are in the sort of end times, if that is happening. I don't know. I don't know why they wouldn't want us to see those things, because they sort of seem to want the end times prophecies to come true. That seems to be what a lot of their own conspiracies are aimed towards, making that happen. I was looking at the light when I was trying to sneeze, and it didn't work. It works almost every time. I do want Eric Dubé. I don't know how to get a hold of him. He has this whole site, and I really think he would come on. I think it'd be a really fun conversation, but there's no like contact or email or anything. Kimchi. It's on the autoimmune protocol. I think I can't have kimchi. I can have a lot of fermented foods, but I think kimchi has certain peppers that I can't have. It's very specific. Trey Clark Theories, what's up? Nice to see you. Have I looked at... Love and Light says, have I looked at MTHFR with the AI and thyroid and folate helping? I don't know what that means. Sorry. I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, it's so nice to have a nutritionist around. Yes, my guy, Johnny, is like nutrition master, fasting master, supplement master. Like, he's really, really good. He's basically a naturopath. And they put folic acid on most bread and pasta. Then maybe it wasn't folic acid. Maybe it was folate or something. It's what I wish I could remember. Yeah, thyroid is the worst. But seriously, I don't know if her disease is the same as mine, but this Hashimoto's is pretty awful. And autoimmune protocol has been the only thing that really helps. That's years that I've been dealing with it, and it's been getting progressively, worse, sort of, in various ways. It's a weird disease to even describe, but this diet has helped more than other things, and so that's cool. Yeah, go Serena are writing children's books. That's rad. Chris, you're allowed to not listen. It's okay, especially for Stevie Nicks. Duh. I love that. See, this is what I'm talking about. Chris uses Stevie Nicks to protect him. When he's listening to her, he's all good. This is what I'm saying. We actually all have this power inside of us, and whatever it is that helps you know that you're protected and good and true and beautiful and that like nothing can harm you, whatever, that's the thing you should use, unless it's an entity or spirit outside of yourself. But the reason we have amulets and the reason that we have sort of rites and rituals and the reason we have like smudge and these things, I don't actually think that entities like hate the smell of sage smoke. Maybe they do. It's very possible. And so cool, even one more reason to use it. But I think the very important reason to use these things is because you think that this is having this effect, and therefore it is. And so I think you empower yourself to be able to protect yourself, to do, to be in contact with the Akashic records if that's what you want, to be psychic if that's what you want. I did this thing for a while where I practiced This is a long ass time ago. I think I was like 17 or whatever, and I was hanging out with murderers and smoking crystal meth and practicing being psychic, because that's what you do. So I would sit there and I would imagine, and I did not even know what a third eye was, by the way. I was just thinking of it as like my mind is up here, my brain is up here, so I need something from up here to go out and get information and bring it back to me. So I would picture this like tube coming out of my head and going to wherever I wanted to get information from, and then coming back to me. And it was crazy accurate. I got the exact price of someone's purchase while they were in the store and I was waiting in the car. When they got back in the car, I was like, "Did you just spend $637?" And they were like, "Yeah, like what the fuck?" And I was like, weird, because I had imagined that tube doing that, and I used that for a little while, and then I just stopped because it was scary. But I think any of us can do anything like that if we want to, you know, and it's just a question of, do you believe you can? Can you create a method that will help you do it? And will you practice it enough to do it? And then will you not quit doing it because it's either just like unsettling or what, you know? Like I did. I know now if I needed to know something that I could do that, and so I'll do it if I need to. But Mel Gibson movie. I don't know what you mean. Oh, I'm not talking about summoning either, Captain Obvious. I'm saying literally working with other entities is a bad idea. Asking them for help, asking them for guidance. You're literally, that's the consent. That's the piece of it that is your consent. You're now saying that you consent for them to be attached to you and to be in your space. And that's all they need. And so you've now given that to them. And there's a lot of them that are very powerful and that are very hard to get that consent back and to get rid of them. You can do it. You'll always be able to do it. It's always possible. That doesn't mean it's easy. And it's not summoning. It might be considered summoning by some people. You can call it whatever you want, and you're welcome to disagree. But this is my experience. This is my lived experience with these things and my understanding of how things go. Again, I highly recommend that nobody does that. I'll remind you, if you do, you will absolutely have at least one, if not more, spirits or entities, whatever you want to call them, that come instantly to you and do all kinds of things with you. It will never fail. They are waiting. They are waiting all the time to get any level of consent, to be any level of attached to you that they can be. And again, consenting to have a vaccine shoot them and their construct into you is one more way that they can do it. But there's a million ways. They have so many ways. They love having ways. They're really good at that. Jason Louvre. Jason Louvre. Got it written down. Yeah, I also think you can manifest money without without spirit or entity attachment. I also practice just visualizing money just flying at me and coming to me. And that week I found $20 bills and all sorts of money just sitting on the ground. That's not an entity doing that. That's me doing that. I don't think you could tell me a single thing that an entity could do that I don't think we could do for ourselves. And again, I disagree with you. I understand that you think it's different to evoke or summon or whatever words you want to use. I get that you think that. That's not my experience. I don't think there's a difference. I think there's literally a difference. I don't think it makes a difference to your experience. And it makes a difference. It's like, how far are you opening the door? But to something made of smokeless fire, it doesn't matter how far you open the door. They're still coming in, right? Did you throw it wide open and like rip your chest open? Well, like, you know, or did you like crack the door and sort of sit in the corner and wait? Either way, it's coming for you and it's now attached, right? Just how quickly and how deeply is what you're describing to me. What's up, Brother Michael? Nice to see you. Yeah, they've been chemtrailing everywhere I've been, all across the country. Somebody just messaged me the other day and they were like, isn't it weird how they stopped chemtrailing for all this? And I'm like, I have not seen that at all. Everywhere I've been, Colorado, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, Montana, has all been chemtrailing. Not like horribly every day, all day, but just they've been there. It's not been stopped. So, and as far as I know, everyone I've talked to has also seen them. So I think it's everywhere still. I think the people saying that have been really lucky to just only look up on days when it's not happening or something, but I could be wrong. Huh. That's awesome, Chris. If Satan attacked Chris, all he'd have to do is play Love Is by Stevie Nicks, and Satan himself would sit down and listen. I hope. What's my writing process like? Do I structure it deadline-based, or does it come to you as it comes to you, or both? No, I have no deadlines, luckily. I just sit down and write whenever I can, and like I said, I will sit there and not have any idea what I'm going to write about or what's going to happen next, even. Like, sometimes I have, like, a loose idea of, like, oh, these things sort of have to happen eventually, you know, but I don't know what's literally going to happen next, and I just sit down and it just literally appears in my head as a picture, as, like, a movie, and I just describe it. Sometimes it's out of order. Like, sometimes I get the end first, or I get, like, the middle section, and then I have to, like, go, you know, and I just, like, sort of jump around, so that's even less structured, probably, than some people do it. I end up having to sort of copy and paste a bunch of stuff and rearrange it by the end. Luckily, I type really quickly, and so I just type it out, and so it's pretty easy to do. But yeah, that's to answer your question, Billy Harmon. Good question. Serena, a call-in show about sleep paralysis would be awesome, and I just wrote that down. That'd be a really great show because a lot more people, like we were talking about on Tinfoil Hat, a lot more people experience sleep paralysis than we realize, and a lot of people don't realize that it is, in my opinion and experience, a spiritual experience that you're having. And so it would be a great show to do, and hopefully I could help some people protect themselves and get out of that cycle of sleep paralysis, because as from what I experience and understand, that is an entity attacking you. They're literally trying to get you, just like we talked about earlier, disconnected from your body, basically, so that they can get in. And any hole you make for them, any access point you give them, they want in. And so it's like one more way for them to sneak in, and it's pretty disturbing. And so I'm sorry you're having those experiences, Serena, especially if you experienced the portion of sleep paralysis that results in that sort of entity presentation, because that's the scariest part. The whole thing is scary, but that's the scariest part, and so I'm sorry if you have been dealing with that. But quick bit of advice, be confident. If you want to ask Jesus or God for help, they're there for you 100% of the time. That will instantly stop it in its tracks, especially if you invite Jesus into your heart. A lot of people don't like that. I do. You do what you want, but it works. So I like results. I like experiential and data-driven results. Make me happy. Yeah, I like this. Isaiah says, I consent for God to use me. I say that all the time. And, you know, you have your idea of God. I have my idea of God. So whatever you mean by it is what you mean by it. I mean the God of love and light, the creator of all that is that universal source of love and goodness. You know, that is God to me. And I also often say in sort of prayer and meditation that I give myself as a vessel as best I can to do whatever God would like. And I think that's a great way to live life. It's brought me all the best things that I could ever have had, and I'm very grateful for it. So I'm with you, Isaiah. Vito, what's up, Vito? Can we assume that ancestor worship is a big no-no? I don't worship anything. I don't even worship God. So I just say don't worship things, like, you know, respect, revere, celebrate. I would do all those things for my ancestors. I would do all those things for God. I would do all those things for myself. I don't know what the point of worship would be ever. And maybe that's not even really what you meant. But no, do I like respect and honor my ancestors? Absolutely. Do I ask them for sort of like guidance or help or just protection maybe, or, you know, that idea that your guardian angels are around, or like I do that. I think that's fine for me. I would say a lot of Christians would say no. If I asked Gary Wayne this coming Tuesday, I think is when he's on, maybe Thursday next week, I can't remember, he might say no, but I have no problem with honoring your ancestors and understanding that you're connected with them. You know, I feel like our DNA literally carries them. Their etheric attachment is still there in you in like every cell of your body. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You're just basically connecting to what you are. And I think that's cool, but that's my idea. Can they attach to children? Yes. Through family trauma? Yes. Hereditary? Yes. You need help with your stepdaughter? Yes. Well, I guess this is a great time to say that I do guidance sessions with people, and I do what some people might call shamanic sort of work, what some Christians might just call spiritual work. I don't know what you want to call it, but I can definitely help with that. And I also teach, again, spiritual tools like spiritual protection and connecting with your sort of allies and your spiritual allies and higher power, if you want to say that, your higher self, or however you kind of frame that in your own experience. But yes, entities can definitely attach to children. It's a lot harder, especially if a child is loved, cared for, and protected and has lived their life that way. But definitely there are children who are abused, neglected, intentionally, and like sort of inseminated with demonic energy through various methods, where, like you said, sort of almost like family trauma and hereditary, or that they brought with them from a past life. So that can happen, and I can help with that, and I would love to help with that. That's a very kind of personal one-on-one thing. So what I would suggest is that you either go to my site, CoreySharman.com, or rogueways.org is the easy one, and buy a guidance session that gives us an hour to get into the specifics and create a plan of action. And I also do, like I said, sort of ceremony for people, so I can do that. And the lowest level of that is free. If you have someone who's just suffering, you don't have money, and you want me to do what I can on that level, I can do that. I don't really want to restrict anyone's access because of money, but I also don't have infinite time, and I can't just, only do this stuff without some sort of support. So like I said, the guidance session is the best option. That gives us an hour one-on-one to talk about any of these things. I've been getting a lot of people requesting things like this and guidance sessions lately, and it's highly recommended. Again, we can get deep into this very personal, very intimate experiences that are going on, oftentimes very dark and disruptive, and it comes across in a lot of different ways. Like some people are struggling with addiction, which I think has a lot to do with entity attachment, and with various levels of sort of what looks like mental illness, which I think can be a lot of entity attachment can look like that as well, or just this sort of oppressive presence that kind of seems to just like constantly be fucking with us. And any level of those things we can deal with. We can figure out what the issue is, and we can develop a plan of cleansing and protection that will work for you. And so I like to be able to offer that. Like I said, I also teach the class spiritual protection, and it's less personal, right? It's not, we can't get into your specific situation, but I do just offer you the tools that you can take and use. Maybe a combination is best. Maybe the class is best. The class is definitely cheaper. It's $20 for the class, and then $50 for the hour-long guidance session. So, and if you're out there and you're struggling, you like really need the one-on-one, you don't have a lot, like let me know what you can offer, and we'll try to figure something out. Again, I don't want it to be a block for anyone who can't like afford something, but I just think it's really important to exchange, so I do what I can. What's up, Ryan? Nice to see you. Yes, you can always call on your spiritual allies for help. You can always call on Jesus and God. You can call on Archangel Michael. These are like some of the people I call on, the energies I call on. I also have my like sort of totem spiritual allies that I call on that I don't talk about as often, because in my tradition, you don't share what your totems are with the public or with anyone really. But those other ones are very known, so it's easy. But a lot of people have very different sort of, frameworks that they look at the world through. And so these are all acceptable in my way of life. Have I heard of Scrivener writing software? No, I just type. I just type and I format it myself. And I have my own method of whatever. Bob Dylan says, I heard you were kidnapped and thrown in a volcano. Not true. Not true. I am a virgin, and so they did want me for their sacrifice, but it didn't work out for them. Just kidding. Yes. Yeah, I like that. Singing that Hallelujah song. That is a really good way also of creating really good energy around you. But again, it's like Chris uses Stevie Nicks, I think literally anything that you feel really good about is going to be the thing that works for you. And so that's another thing that we can talk about in a guidance session if any of you are looking towards that, is what your specific tools will be. Okay, sending love. Thank you. Sending it right back. I have not seen the movie Hereditary. I don't do exorcisms per se. I'll just leave it at I do various types of ceremony for people for various reasons, and it's always 100% specific to the person and their needs. And so would some of them possibly look like an exorcism? Kind of. Yeah. How much do I charge? If I were at that level, that would be a bit more expensive, because that would take days of preparation for the ceremony and then the ceremony itself, and you'd have to be local. That's not something I can do from afar. So it'd be kind of expensive, but I don't think that's going to come up anytime soon. So yeah. People who think chemtrailing has stopped, someone said in chat, doesn't know what real clouds look like. Kind of. No, but really, there are days when there's no chemtrails and there are real clouds. So I hope that they're just having those days. I hope we all have those days. Yeah, St. Michael is rad. I agree, Chris. I had questions about the Archangel Gabriel because I had some weird interactions. I don't know. I guess there's still a question in my mind, but I'm a little bit better with him now. I don't know. He seemed like kind of an asshole to me for a minute, but he seems okay now. I may have misunderstood his motives. Jeff Castro asks, have you ever kept going in and out of your dreams or even realized you were in it? I have before, but still my subconscious wouldn't let me go off my morals. Totally. And I do it in video games too. Like, I can't do anything that I wouldn't do in normal life or whatever. Like, I have to like treat everyone like I would treat real people, and I have to like behave like in my quest. I have to do what I would do if it were like a real consequences, and it's kind of silly. But like, I also think that those types of things, it's probably good to practice your real morals, because some part of your mind is still treating this as reality. And I think that you could sort of, I don't want to be like, oh, video games are gateways to the hell or whatever, but like, I think that you could actually sort of change your psyche a little bit or make connections with darker entities if you are like acting in those ways. You're sort of making an agreement of like, yeah, I am kind of an asshole who just like murders kids in games. And so like, I don't know. I feel like there's some aspect of that in your energetic field where you're like letting something darker in if you behave that way. But I also think that if you're strong enough in like who you are and what you are, that's not really going to hold you back. But I had this huge moral conundrum with Skyrim once, because I was on this quest. And there was this fucking, you guys might even know what I'm talking about, but there's this like mace, this like really dark mace. It's like literally black and like glowing green. And you had to like go underground and like towards this like demonic voice. It was like, yes, come deeper into the bowels. And you're up in like the upper left part of the map, somewhere over there in the like Rocky Mountains. I think it's the same place where you get that fucking dog. Anyway, you're like underground and you're going through all of this, and then you find this guy and he's trapped, and the demon has like trapped him and has been torturing him, and the demon's basically like, I'll give you this mace if you kill him with it. And this guy, I think, hasn't done anything wrong, and he's just like trapped there. And I'm like, this was the one time in a video game where I did something I wouldn't do in normal life, and I totally killed him for that mace, and I have some moral confliction about it. I behaved poorly in the game. But that mace was rad, and it allowed me to, like, basically beat the rest of the game super easily, because that weapon is insane, but yeah. Yeah, if you're, the Drunken Fool says, I've been sleeping and listening to people talking around me. If you're in a hypnagogic sort of state, if you're in that liminal state between waking and sleeping, it's really easy to hear a lot. And the materialists would say like, oh, that's just your brain getting towards sleep. and like making up sounds and whatever, but I think you're actually hearing actual entities and spirits and whatever talk around you or near you or to you or whatever. Sometimes they're like, Lindsay, and I'm like, ah, and I wake up and I'm like, well, stop yelling then, and I could like stay in that state and actually like hear you, dumbass. Yeah, Gabriel was kind of goofy. He like winked at me and I don't know, it was weird. It's a long story. Maybe I'll tell you sometime, but Isaiah says my name is Do Not Consent on RS. If anyone plays here, I don't know what RS is. I'm a very casual gamer. I get like 1 game a year and I play it over like 7 months, even though it takes everyone else like 3 days to beat. And that's how I roll. Are any famous magicians really doing magic, or does it work like that? Yeah, no, there's magicians who will tell you. They will say, like, I'm not an illusionist, I'm a magician. And many of them will even admit that they work with entities, I think dark entities, to do the tricks that they do. They'll say it openly, they admit it. It's just that no one believes them because no one believes in any of this stuff, and that's why these things have a really easy time fucking with people, because we have no space in our society or no framework in our society for actually dealing with these realities that exist. Even churches, like if you go to them and you're like, there's a demon fucking with me, they're like, mental health hotline, this person is crazy. There's no sort of rational way to go about dealing with them. We have no system for this at all. We have no sort of framework for this. And so when people hear that, they're just like, oh, pfft, magicians, entities, like whatever. They just roll past it, which is fine. You should, if you don't want to think about these things, you shouldn't think about them. But I tend to believe people when they say something about themselves. And so when you say about yourself that you're doing real magic and you work with entities, I believe that you're doing real magic and working with entities. And I do not advise it. Again, like, we know these stories. They're all throughout history. They're all throughout all of our, like, mythologies and everything. They're all telling us the same thing. And in my lived experience, it is also true. When you work with these entities, you are getting the shit end of the deal every time. You think you're getting what you want. You think you're like, oh, look at these skills I have. So cool. And then you realize, like, what you're paying for it, and it's your soul. It's, like, part of you. You're giving it away. You're, like, exchanging that. And they're taking up residence and controlling you more and more, and you're getting further and further from yourself. So you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. And, yeah, I lost my train of thought there, but you don't have to. Oh, the stories. There's the stories that are always like, oh, the genie, genie is jinn are negative entities. They're evil entities. It's all the same. It's just different words for the same thing. And, in those stories, the jinn always wins. They're smarter than us. They know literally everything. They have direct access to the actual Akashic records. There's quicker than like light speed time. Like there's no pause between when they want to know something or use that information and when they know it and use it. Like that, like we can't even imagine it. And so you're never going to outsmart them ever. Really, you're not. It would be hubris to think that you would. And we hear those stories all the time. And there was that guy. Who's that guy who, like, he's this old Russian dude? There's video of this. There's video of him just shoving swords through his body. There's video of him at, like, conventions where medical doctors who didn't believe it was real would come from all over, and they would go shove their own swords through him, through just various parts of his body, and it would always just go right through and come out, no blood, over and over again. You can go see video of this. This guy said, just without any, like, doubt, like, just, like, plain as day, like, yeah, well, there's the entity, and he's right here, and he just makes it happen. He just, like, makes it go through me and doesn't kill me, and that's just what happens. That's our deal, or whatever. And I'm like, what a weird, like, skill. But anyway, made him, famous for a little while. He got all that attention, and then one day, because they're fickle, fucking horrible entities, they just, like, one of the swords just killed him. They were just like, yeah, we're not going to do it this time. And then he died. So, like, there's no reason that they have to even uphold their end of the bargain. It's not something to fuck with in my experience. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I said. I couldn't remember The Usual Suspects, but I remembered I was trying to say that quote from The Usual Suspects on Tinfoil Hat. The best trick the devil ever played was convincing the world he doesn't exist. Billy Harmon says, why do the entities always seem to be sitting on you? I feel helpless around all of them. So, okay. Feeling helpless is what they want. Again, that's a level of consent. When you're saying, I feel helpless, you're saying, I am helpless, and therefore I consent to you doing whatever you can because I cannot do anything about it. So you have to change that first. You have to find a way to make yourself feel confident that actually you're not helpless at all and that those beings have to fuck right off when you tell them to. They have to. Your will is stronger than theirs. Your will always trumps theirs. But you have to know that and practice it for it to work. So the first step that you can do to do that is to make yourself a little mantra that you can say over and over again and say, it can be as simple as, I am safe, I am protected, and nothing can harm me. I am safe, I am protected, nothing can harm me. And you just say that over and over again. When this is happening, as soon as you realize you're doing sleep paralysis, just say that over and over again in your head. Just repeat it over and over again. It makes you feel better. You're like, oh yeah, this is true. This is true. Right? You can remember this moment where we're discussing this and be like, oh yeah, this is true. This works. And it does. It works. Right? So you can have this mantra that you say. You can also, like I said, ask God for help. You'll have a shield immediately between you and it. You can ask Jesus for help. You can ask Jesus into your heart. Jesus will instantly make them all go away instantly. Or you can just say, I command you to get out of my house, demon or Satan or entity or whatever you want to call it. Just like, get out. This is my space and it's not yours and you leave now. And the more you believe that that works, the better it works. So practice it. Practice it when you're awake. Say, get out of my house. You're here. Get away from me. You're not attached to me. I am a free, sovereign individual. I rescind any consent that I ever gave you. I take it back right now. It's gone. You don't have that. You're not welcome here. Get out. You can do sage. You can set up circles in your house. You can do all these things that help make you feel like this is your space you've claimed. I like to say get out and then invite God in because something takes that space. Nature abhors a vacuum. You fill it with something good. Why do they feel like they're sitting on your chest? Where is the portal of where is the center of your entire being? Energetically, physically, the center of your being is right here, right? That's your heart chakra. That's like the portal that you come through. That is you. You're right here. This is a center of you. If you could condense your energetic field to one tiny little like dot, it would be right here. Right? That's why they sit there. They're trying to, one, feed off the massive amounts of energy you produce when you're in a fear state like that. It's all coming from your heart. That's one reason why they're there. And I think the other reason is if you do have a moment where you open that up and let them in, that's the best place for them to attach because that's the hardest place for you to detach them. That's why they go towards your chest. And it is scary and it is horrible. But you are never, ever alone in that. You never have to put up with that. You call on your spiritual allies, you tell it to fuck off, you invite something in the place of it when it leaves, and you say that mantra, I am safe, I am protected, nothing can harm me. I am safe, I am protected, nothing can harm me. Long answer. I just can't. I just don't want anyone to be in that state of fear. Those motherfuckers feed off that shit and they can fuck right off. Chris knows. You can always ask Chris too. Yeah, this cloudy haze on the clear day. It's a clear day. There's just a haze of shit in the sky. Like, okay, whatever. Yeah, so 100 days at a time. Nice to see you. Hello, welcome. Somebody told them that they had something try to attach at night. And it felt like a cat coming up from the end of the bed. So this is another thing I talked about on the Tinfoil Hat episode, if you want to go listen to it. I've talked about it on episodes on this channel as well. I think that the name of the episode where I tell the same story as Tinfoil Hat was Tarot and the Journey, maybe? I don't know, but you could listen to either if you want to hear the story. But anyway, I talk about how the entity that came and tried to attach to my little heart chakra portal here in the night after a long ongoing experience of sleep paralysis over however long years or whatever, it tried to pretend like it was a little girl. And so I think if this entity with your friend is trying to pretend like it's a cat, that friend, I'm guessing, probably really loves cats, or cats somehow make it feel like disarmed, or that they'll use whatever tricks they can to make you be like, yeah, no, this is totally good. I love when dark entity cats come and fuck with my like chest, you know. But yeah. Reoccurring dreams, especially if they're bad. There's this idea that your dreams are actually, and I ascribe to this idea that your dreams actually are you going places, doing things on the astral level, even if you're not out of body or like astrally projecting. I think you are, even if you don't really call it that or have it as that lucid of an experience or whatever. Anyway, if you're having negative dreams, your part of you is sort of in like a hell realm or being influenced by like a dark entity to feel like you're in a hell realm. If you're having really good dreams and awesome like flying dreams and like woo, then you're in like sort of a whatever more heavenly sort of realm. And if you're having recurring dreams or dreams that are like an ongoing story, then this is this is something that you're supposed to pay attention to, and on a soul level at least, or an astral level, you're doing some work, and that's not a bad thing, in my opinion. Have I ever tried shrooms? Yes, many times. Am I asking you all? I don't know what I asked, so I'm not sure how to answer you, Paige, but what's up, Paige? Nice to see you. I love Sam. Yeah, Sam's awesome. I don't know. I have this like deep level of comfort with Sam because he reminds me exactly of a perfect mix of my brother and like my best male friend, like if they were one person. So I'm just like instantly like, oh, you're like my oldest, best, awesome friend and brother or whatever. So I don't know. I love Sam. He's an awesome guy. Very lucky, very happy to have been on Tinfoil Hat with him, and had a really cool discussion about all this exact stuff: spirits, entities, attachments, demonic stuff, exorcisms, and all of this. And what we never got to were the sort of experiences I had with essentially shamans. They have different titles around the world, but shamans who did what you might call an exorcism, or various aspects of exorcism. It's called soul retrieval, or it's called cleansing is like the lowest level of it, and then soul retrieval, and then other titles for these ceremonies to help me get rid of this entity for good. And we never got to that part. I think I've told some of them on this channel. Again, I would not be able to tell you what episode, but I don't know. I don't think I ever told the first one, the first sort of soul retrieval that I had, which was wild. And I always like to tell people that I come to all these things as a skeptic, and it may not seem that way to you now because now I'm many decades into the journey. But every time someone would come to me and say something like, oh, you have like a dark energy around you, I'd be like, yeah, okay, fucking what are you trying to sell me or whatever, you know? Or when I would meet these shamans, I'm like, you're probably a fake, but like, I'll be nice to you or whatever, you know? And then like, as things would progress, I'd be like, huh, that's really weird how they like knew these certain things. Or like, huh, it's really weird how when they did that, like, this reaction happened, or oh, it's really weird how that like thing moved, or you know, just like various things where I'm like, okay, I can't really continue to be skeptical after all the evidence mounts up. So when I'm talking about these things, I am actually coming from a place of severe skepticism where I need many pieces of evidence and proof for me to sort of believe something or in someone or in their skills. And so not that I mean, you believe and do whatever you need to do, but that's where I come from. So, oh yeah, the old wives' tale about cats trying to steal your breath and your soul. Interesting correlation with, especially with sleep paralysis, because there is that sort of soul stealing, breath stealing aspect of it that most people don't talk about when they're talking about sleep paralysis. But it reminds me of that Stephen King book and movie, Cat's Eye. I wonder if you guys ever saw that. That was a creepy one. It wasn't the cat actually trying to steal anything. It was some little fucking goblin thing, and the cat was actually trying to protect, which was an interesting twist on the story. Yes, exactly. From skeptic to believer. Captain Obvious says it's a delicate balance of knowing that they're understanding their purpose and how it influences our daily life without allowing our materialistic desires getting in the way. Well said. Cats are aliens in disguise. All cats are secretly. It's like the mice in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but it's cats. Cats actually control the whole universe. Okay. I don't know. I'm out of things to talk about and say, but I want to reiterate that I do have services to offer anybody who is seeking, especially if you're in a situation where you feel desperate. Reach out. We can figure something out and help. If you want a tarot reading, I do tarot readings, obviously. Very protected. I don't use entities at all. It's just your higher self, your spiritual allies, your concept of God. Those are the things that do come through the reading and nothing else. It's in a protected space. So if you want a reading, readings can be really good to just sort of confirm what you kind of already understand about a situation but might not be too clear about or too sure about. There's a lot of confirmation that happens in a reading. It can clarify some sort of relationships and tensions, or especially if there's like hidden emotion or hidden like roles that you're playing that aren't necessarily healthy for you, that can come out. If there's relationships you have with people that aren't especially healthy, that might come out. It's kind of in that way more like a reflection and therapy session than anything. I think some people think they're gonna like get their future told to them, and that's not. There are some aspects of it that point out what your future is headed towards, but it's not as like future telling as you might think. So but if you're looking for that sort of experience, it can be very profound. Most people who have a tarot reading with me do express how important it was for them and their path and their spiritual life and their emotional life, and there's people who come back every single month and do it again. It's a very helpful experience, and so if that sounds like something that's right for you, check it out. For a 10-card reading, it is $60. You do get the recording of the reading, the one-on-one with you and I on Zoom or Skype or whatever we want to do. You get a picture of the layout afterwards of all the cards and how they look, so you can kind of pay closer attention to what they looked like and the different symbology there. And I do a written summary of all the things that we talked about in sort of each card's meaning, so that you won't forget. You can come back to it very easily and see what happened and what it all meant. And so you get all of that, and it's usually about an hour. And I do, again, about a half an hour of preparation before and about a half an hour of follow-up afterwards. And so really it's like 2 hours, and that's why I do a $60 reading. So it's a lot of my time, and it's 20 plus years of expertise as well. So you're getting a good deal. Again, some people have had like not a lot of cash, but they have something to trade. If you're one of those people, just suggest, if it works for us, we'll make it happen. And if not, you didn't lose anything. So don't be shy because of prices. Love and the Light highly recommends a tarot reading. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. There's a lot of people. I've never had a person yet who didn't feel very strongly that it was a very worthwhile and positive thing that they did. So that is available. Less people know about my guidance sessions. Again, they are often mostly sort of spiritual in nature, and they're often meant to help you clarify in a more conversational, more personal, more specific manner various questions you might have about your experiences in life on various levels of being. And so it can be about that. It can be about life in general too. If you just, need clarification about sort of what we might call the more mundane parts of life, that's also something that comes up in guidance sessions and that I can help with. And I really just want to offer guidance sessions as a way for you to get, whatever you need more specifically and directly. And so that's available to you as well. Again, that's an hour-long session, and those are $50. And those also are highly recommended. People tend to write less reviews about them, but they, respond to me personally and say the same types of things, that it was very helpful and very profound and really helped them clarify or protect themselves or whatever it is that they sort of got out of it. So I'm going to get more people to write reviews if I can, but I don't want to push people. And so there's that available. And like I said, there's classes on spiritual protection and finding your spiritual allies. And you do have to take the spiritual protection course before you can do the spiritual allies course. And that's intentional because you have to know how to protect yourself before you go traversing spiritual realms on purpose and trying to discern which entities you encounter are your friends and not. So that's why I organize it in that way. And then I also teach tarot If you want to take a sort of beginner's course on tarot, I offer that. And I haven't yet developed a way to teach a more advanced tarot course. And so if you're interested in that, I'd say maybe a guidance session. You can just ask specific questions and we can just go into sort of various aspects of tarot reading. That might be the best way to do that. So those are all the things I offer. I also want to highly suggest for people who already feel like they have a pretty good vibe, a pretty good, spiritual shored up like self and way of being, but maybe they just want a little something. I do also make orgone energy accumulators, and I'd make them in the form of pendants that you can wear around your neck. You can hang it from a car or whatever. And then I also make plaques that you can kind of display as like art, maybe on your wall or in your garden or wherever. And so those are also available. They're very affordable. My pendants tend to be like $10, and that includes shipping, and then or 15, 20 at the most. And my plaques are like 30 and 40, and they're like pretty big, plaques. And so I suggest that you maybe get one of those if you're interested in orgone accumulators and just sort of making your space have more of an anchor for all that good energy that you already produce. And I myself have taken 4 of my pendants and put them in the corners of my property. And then I have, those larger pyramid orgone accumulators that people make, that people have given me over the years. But I also have my whole stack of orgone that's waiting to be shipped off to people who need it. So like this property is hella safe, protected, and really high vibes. Orgone accumulators, yes. So Wilhelm Reich, God, there's so many of these scientists who are awesome. I'm pretty sure it's Wilhelm Reich who did the studies with orgone. But and I'll just say really quick, rogueways.org is my site if you want to go order any of those things we talked about. You can also just directly PayPal me, which I'm going to drop the link right now. And if you're PayPaling me for a 10-card reading, it's $60. For the guidance session, it's $50. Or go to the site, rogueways.org. And all those things are also in the shop, and the PayPal link is also there if you want to do that. If you PayPal me the money, just make sure you say, this is for a tarot reading, or this is for whatever, and I just email you and we set up the time. So either way is fine. I prefer the PayPal way because it cuts out a little bit of taxes. But it's totally whatever you're comfortable with is fine. So orgone accumulators, Wilhelm Reich studied orgone. Orgone is an energy, maybe you might call it like the ether or spiritual energy. I don't know how you might frame it in your worldview, but, he basically, the very basics of orgone is that you layer organic and non-organic substances, and that's it. That's the very most basic level. So you have a layer of, let's say, metal, a layer of wood, a layer of, like, would glass be organic? Maybe glass, crystal or something, and then a layer of cotton, or something, right? So organic, non-organic. And then people have played with orgone and resin, and so a lot of the orgone accumulators you see are minor resin. These are often resin. And they will have copper in them specifically. They'll have quartz in them specifically as their non-organics. And that's because of the sort of energy that those substances hold and easily channel isn't the right word, but you know what I'm talking about. Transmit. I hate when I can't remember a word. Anyway, so they use those. I use sometimes copper and metals, sometimes just tin even. I do use quartz crystals or various types of quartz crystals in mine, and I really, really like to use pressed flowers and leaves and stems as my organics as well, and homemade paper. And so mine get very artistic, whereas a lot of other people's are kind of just all those materials, and they're still cool looking, but they're not. Anyway, you just have to see mine, and they're a little bit different, but I really like them. And thank you, Love in the Light also recommends the plaques. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Tower busters are also orgone often, yes. Sometimes people just use giant quartz crystals in a tube. There's various types. Go Rogue. Thank you, Scott. Hi, Scott Hardyway. I probably said that wrong. Scotty Hardway. There we go. Yes, it captures the good energy and it keeps it near you. And I really, really think if you're going to go pick a piece of orgone right now and grab it, which I highly recommend, that you look at them all and do the one, ask yourself sort of like, is this one best for me? And if you have like a really good feeling about it, then that's the one you should get, because the energy of each one is going to be slightly different and you want to get the one that you connect with most. So take your time and pick through them. But yeah, copper and quartz are highly used in the orgone community, if that's a thing. But I just do whatever I have around me and that looks cool and that feels good. And I had my my guides. I hate saying that, but that's the thing. That's what they are. So I had my guides tell me after I made my first batch of orgone that my orgone is actually like way more powerful than even I think. So I was like, well, that's rad. So I'm happy to make them. I love doing it. It's one of my artistic pourings, or one of my artistic out. I'm really losing a lot of my words right now. It's late, but anyway, it's one of my artistic endeavors and I love doing them, and so I love being able to offer them for very cheaply, because a lot of people who make orgone charge so fucking much. The pendant that I first found and started wearing years ago was like $45. I guess that's not that much. It just seems like a lot. I'm like, it doesn't cost actually that much to make them, so my pendants are like $10 and $15 because I just feel like I want people to have them. That's the point of making orgone, right? Creative outlet. Thank you. Good God. Yeah, I also don't think you can have too much orgonite. Love in the light. I think that's absolutely true. But I like to have mine go to other people, and then I can make more and more. Yeah, check it out if you like it. Grab one. Edinson Zorita, the black shadow thing you talked about in Sam's podcast. I have a similar experience. You are not alone. There's a lot of us. And you may have missed the parts of this show that we talked about. If you are looking for guidance or help with that, how I can offer. But again, I'll just say again, go to rogueways.org, check out the shop, especially check out the tarot and teaching, I think, section is where all the classes and guidance session and tarot readings are. And check out if any of those feels good to you and like you want to do it. You can also email me at corysharman@gmail.com and we can talk about what might be best for you. A lot of people have been contacting me since that episode of Tinfoil Hat. I've set up a lot of readings and guidance sessions from that, and so I can tell that there's a lot of people who have these experiences and don't have a lot of ways to deal with it in our society, and so I'm happy to help. So please do reach out if that's something that you are needing or interested in, and that'll be great. Like I said, we want everyone to get as much spiritual goodness as they can in their life, because that is what we really are, spiritual beings. We just happen to be wandering around in meat suits on this rock, hurtling through space, allegedly, or whatever this is. And, we forget. We're kind of taught and encouraged to forget. But until you remember and treat your soul exactly as it should be treated, as the most important part of yourself, never to be given away, never to be allowed access to dark entities, always to be protected and held up as the most high, as a piece of creation itself, as a shard of the light, intended to be so, as a precious, precious, precious aspect of existence. Until that moment, travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first. Mwah.
Nasty motherfuckers with a hook and a sickle. Brought to you advertisement, bone plated nickel. Fire rate automatic smash from the get-go. Snack on the whack, fermented flesh disco. Abracadabra, archaic altars don't slabber. Hey, making jabbers with reality backwards. Hunting rap nerds, bodyguard collected actors. Munitions are famished, let them feast upon the dapper. Bloody bibs and muddy kicks, feasting on amygdalas. Iron fist, tyrant shit, APO will rip you up. The rhyme rainmaker, vein style backbreaker. Genghis Khan depleted uranium satellite lasers. Cloaked in anonymity, I know you never heard of me. No rusted tools used for Crowley style surgery.
Dissect a whole set, God body. God taught me to dissect the whole body. When it gets sloppy, I'ma get there. Rhymes rare like steak. Get crushed like crates to create 52 states. And it's Baghdad, dust to towels, no rags. Straight milk dash, dust to ash. Turbans while the niggas perkin'. It's on purpose. My service touches the sun's surface, and rainbows touch serpents. My light all night shines so bright. I'm a star for eons, Hollywood's for peons, cause they try to copy the same shit we on. Hey, I ain't done yet, lungs depleted and can't breathe, can't believe it. Trying to seek it while trying to peep it, it's a secret. Now you're nobody, label somebody, trying to claim John Gotti. It's yours truly, God body.